I'm getting a real bad earth, I can't hear you. We got no comms. Yeah, got it, Chits. But
So winning route doing, and Kitchen make it one at the same time. Quite how far they've got to go.
massive interference here.
Can we go up their arse a little bit and we can make sure they know what's going on? I will follow. That's great. Just give them a hurry up and it's up to them.
What have we got to do with the power
Worse.
problem at the front here? Is it power to it, Chip? Is it a hit?
So Steve, it's starting at Shark Island in 10 minutes. You got a lot on. They're right up there. Winning group as well. Steady. Starting at Shark Island in 10.5 minutes. Long way up in the mist. We've done our bit. Got no internal path, we're going hard. Oh.
That's water. That buzz is water. That's water in the system. I'll just go without it. Just talk to each other.
Woody. Woody. Shark Island.
It starts in 9 minutes at Shark Island.
Yeah.
I'm fucked.
As per the race officer's instruction. They're all so locked into what they normally
Here.
do.
I just turn it right down. That's the best we can do for you. Yeah? Is that better?
Mark, can you give us some comms?
Yep. Okay. Right. All right.
I will give it 5 seconds, okay? Well, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're watching us from a damp, wet, humid, slightly stormy Sydney Harbour. Today is a big day in skiff sailing. It's the first of the SuperCup events. It might be the only one, depending on how well today goes, but hopefully there'll be more to come. It's Friday afternoon. Racing starts in a little less than 10 minutes. And we know that today, as well as the usual fleet, we have a bunch of guest stars. Most of these guest stars are previous winners of JJ Giltnan, the Effective World Championship, and there are 1 or 2 other extra surprise inclusions. But it's a big day of sailing today. We're looking to achieve 2 races. Race officer said definitely 1 race, almost certainly 2 races, and if the weather plays ball, we'll even get 3 races. They're going to be quite short, 0.8 of a mile. Slightly unusual races for the skiffs, not the big long haul up the harbour. Instead, it's going to be quite short stuff. Now look, today the camera cap's fully staffed. We do have a drone, and if the weather plays ball, we'll get the drone up in the air, but at the moment it's raining pretty hard, as you may be able to see from the picture. See how we go with that. Driving the boat, we've got in the very capable hands of James Berry. Jimmy, how you doing, mate?
Good, Bucky. How are you, brother?
Yeah, all good. challenging day today for rain, if nothing else. I'm hoping you're going to find a way to keep us dry. How are you going to do that?
Do my very best, mate. I've got this nice little thing to hide behind you. Not so much, mate, but we'll see what we can do.
So that's James, to my left, to your right on screen, to my right, to the left. Here I've got Nick Douglas as our additional commentator. Nick, I was hoping to give you sunshine and maybe even a cocktail before we sat back and watched skiffs on a Friday night. I'm sorry to say, you're going to get wet today.
Oh no, I think, Mark, I've become accustomed to the fact that sailing coverage is definitely not always glamorous. It's absolutely fantastic to be out here, though, to see some great racing, nonetheless, regardless of the weather. And everybody watching at home, just count yourselves lucky that the 18-footers are putting this on for you, because it means we get wet and you don't, and you get to be a part of the fun. So I think that's just awesome.
So look, we've got about 7 minutes till race 1 starts. As I've said, short races. The start line's been set up in between Shark Island and Point Piper, with a southerly, southeasterly direction and a short beat up into Rose Bay. There'll be plenty to look at, plenty of scenery as we go up there. Very shifty. We know what happens in Rose Bay. Lots of wind direction changes. And this is going to be a challenge, because a lot of our legendary skiff sailors, Jimmy, you know, a bunch of them, they haven't sailed skiffs for, well, let's put this politely, a large number of years.
Very correct, a large number of years, but I think a lot of them, it's like duck to water really when they get back into these things. I think it won't take them too long. Hopefully their ability doesn't outlive their legends. So I think we're going to see some great sailing today, and I think you're going to see some old rivalries.
Yeah, there is.
Fire up.
And there's also some. I mean, Nick, it looks to me like some of these guys have got a bit of an unnatural advantage. I feel like Sevi Jarvin.
I know.
He's a legend, but he's still sailing skiffs currently. Lee Napton, he won the JJ only 2 years ago. Rob Greenhouse, one of the best, probably all-round sailors in the world. Legendary skiff sailors, won the JJs, won the 14s, won the Volvo. He's third in the Moth World, but doesn't he have a big advantage over the older guys?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say, because then you've got guys like John Winning, who are racing every week, and would you put him down? I don't know, but John also has Luke Parkinson on board with him today, and he's from Artemis and has been involved with the super foilers. So I think there's a few little changes to each of the crews which are going to make it interesting. But then you say young guys like Sevi. He was pretty funny this afternoon. He's like, I'm old. I'm like, no, you're not old. You've just won 7 JJ Giltons. You're one of the the best skiff legends in the book, and you happen to be young as well. So I mean, on that note, it's a shame we don't have Big Fella out here, but I know he's been working all hard with Wild Oats, and he had to get back in the Australian Sailing Team Performance Office. So that's it. early call. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to name a winner. I will do later on. But for now, do you think the winners are going to come from the wily old hands, the Trevor Barnabas, Rob Brown, the guys that have been here, done that, or do you think it's going to come from the more current sailors? I think it's going to come from a more current sailor, just because I do believe that teamwork is really important, and I know that Sevi Jarvin's sailing with Sam Newton, and they did however many years of sailing together, so you can't discount that. And Sammy and Tom Slingsby's on board with them. Sam and Tom are sailing the F50s at the moment, which are a handful, to say the least.
Yeah, that's quite a tidy looking bunch of CVs on that boat, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit tidy, I would have to say, but then I don't think you can discount teams like Woody, as I said, or even Appliances Online have got a good crew. But then Triple M, when you think about David Witt with Tom Clout and Tom Anderson, they sailed all last season together. I'm wondering whether they can put it together too. And I'm telling you, David Witt's looking very fit after his Volvo. Yeah,
I mean, David Witt sailing on Triple M. He is somewhere between an old legend and a young nipper. He was always called the Kid, wasn't he? It was his nickname. He does look fit. He told me he's 105 kilos today. Now, he might be a little bit creative with that, but he said during the Volvo he dropped down to 90 kilos. Such was the devastating effect of freeze-dried food. Jimmy, eaten freeze-dried food recently?
Not recently, but not a big fan of it. I definitely prefer an apple or something along those lines. Freeze-dried food, you've got to sometimes look at the package to see what you're eating. I'm sure you've experienced that as well, mate.
And look, on camera right now, there is the spectator boat.
We've got a drone.
The drone's up in the air. You can see our cameraman's not that tall. That's the drone giving us a nice shot. So the rain has dropped. That's the good news. The wind right now is in the 6 to 8 knots, so not much. We might get 2 wiring. We might get the 3 strings. We'll have to wait and see. We're still in an AP actually, so in a few minutes we do have a few stragglers who are a little late at the boat park, but in a few minutes time we'll be into sequence. We'll let you know how that looks, but for now all is quite quiet here on a grey, overcast, warm, humid but slightly damp Rose Bay.
Well, the rain stopped for 5 seconds, mate.
Well, it has, isn't it? Look at those spectators in there. They're dry, they're warm. We got this all wrong. They've got a cold beer in their hand. It's a Friday night. They've finished work. Christmas approaches. I think they're in the right place.
Most definitely. That's where I'd rather be, but
Oh, look, there's us.
someone's got to bring this to them. So
Yeah, there is that strange-looking other boat. That's the Camera Cat. That's
Look, we
us
can
there.
wave. Hi.
Camera Cat is, for those who are interested, aluminium. It's about 25 years old. It's been stretched at least once or twice in its history, and this thing goes out every weekend of the season, brings us the great pictures. It's a fine bit of kit. The best thing it does is it's got a relatively low wake, isn't it, Jimmy, as the driver? Tell me what the challenges are for getting in and amongst these skiffs without upsetting too many of them.
well, as the old Kilo used to say, if you don't hit one a season, you're not close enough. So
Oh.
we're trying our best to get in
Love
there
you, Kilo.
and get as close as we can without upsetting. The biggest problem I found with a lot of these guys is they don't do the look over the shoulder or
Yeah.
burp the jib or anything before attack. They just throw the helm, and we're stuck there.
I think they're trusting you to make the right decision.
This thing doesn't pull up too well, Mark. You got to.
That is
sometimes
true.
we're going to be getting very
And
close.
it seems appropriate on a race that's all about some of the legends of the sport. Robert Killett was our legendary boat driver of this catamaran for about 15, 20 years. We owe a lot of what we do here to his innovation, sheer determination, and the fact he was just a seriously good bloke. Nick, you came across Kilo a few times, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was very, very lucky that Kilo shared one of his passions with me, which was sport broadcasting, and I remember some of the earlier days of the Camera Cat, and he was always on fire and always having a laugh and always having a glass of red wine, and he was an absolute legend. My dad actually sailed with him back in the day when he was 18, so
Because he was, of course, a skiff sailor,
Yes,
and
he was.
loves the classics, the historical 18s as well,
Yeah,
didn't he? And
yeah.
that's madly passionate about that. Every time we went on the Camera Cat back in the day, he used to go on and on and on about the historical. I said, Bob, come on, it's a new fleet, but I know where he's coming from, an amazing fleet. So look, there you can see on camera, you're getting an idea about how light it is. I said 6 to 8 knots, so I was probably exaggerating a tad. I'm thinking 5 to 6. Jimmy, like you're a pretty current skiff sailor yourself. What would you think this wind is right now?
Oh, all of 5 knots if
Keeping
you're
it
lucky,
down?
Mark.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
see much
5.
more around it. I
So
can't see
today's
much
going to be
more
about finding the path, finding the breeze, dead flat water. There will be the odd ferry up here in Rose Bay, not the big manly ones that you see on a Sunday charging around, but we do get I live in this part of the world, actually in Rose Bay, so I can tell you the ferries here run every single 30 minutes this time of the day, so look out for that.
And the other thing we might have up here, Mark, is a few seaplanes.
Oh, awesome, in the rain.
Of course, this is
Perfect.
Rose Bay, head of the seaplanes. This is where the seaplanes live, isn't it?
Correct.
So look, the AP is down. The next flag will be the class flag, which will be the 5-minute gun. That's coming up quite soon. We don't have a lot of advance notice. We maybe we'll try and can we get a camera on that flag if we can? We'll give
Yeah,
you guys at home
absolutely.
a really good idea about what's happening. Probably not long, I'm thinking 20 seconds or so.
And I'll make sure we get the gun, guys. I've got my watch at the ready. Can see everybody getting their transits. We had a brownie come past the back of us just before, and he was giving a massive cheer as we get the 5-minute gun.
5-minute gun and a ferry goes by. So that's the Rose Bay ferry I was just talking about. So hopefully it means that ferry's got to come back out of Rose Bay. That'll be 10 minutes, then nothing for another 30. So keep your eyes on that one in 20 minutes' time. That big green thing, that's a new breed of high-speed displacement ferries. There they go. And we're now getting close to 4-minute. 4-minute gun is the next sound you'll hear.
Sorry, Mark, I was just giggling because I could hear everybody from the spectator ferry saying to Sevi Jarvan as he went past, we've all put our bets on you, and if you don't win today, we know where you live. They're coming to get him.
Yeah.
Good times.
And of course the tradition of betting in the ferry, back
Yep.
to the very old days of the skiff fleet. Anyone who's new to watching skiff racing, maybe it's the first time you've watched it. Well, back in the day it was all about the spectator boat that went out on a Sunday, people dressed up in their finery and they put on bets, and I'm talking big bets. This was a bigger betting sport than horse racing was, and now we have a little bit more of a relaxed attitude to the betting. It's more for a bit of fun on the boat. They have their own commentator who's talking about which boats are the most heavily backed. That was a 4-minute gun, by the way. But the betting's kind of a bit of a fun part of it. Sevi, he's got to be... Is he the shortest odds? I don't know. I'm going to ask the question now. I've been putting it off. Jimmy, who is your bet? Just give me anyone to finish in the top 3. I'm going to make it easy for you.
I'll have to go with an old 16, mate, and go Smeg with Trevor Barnabas.
Trevor
What do you
Barnabas,
reckon?
the legend. How on earth he is as fit as he is? How old is he? Late 60s?
Gail's listening, I dare say 40, but yeah, probably he's definitely up there in the 50s or 60s, but he still throws his hand in there every now and then.
Oh, he does.
In the 16.
He
So
does.
it's-
You're watching
it's
here. We're
sweet.
down into less than 4 minutes. Nick, what was your pick? Who's going to be top 3?
I think winning will be in the top 3.
Winning group, so Sevi Jarvan's boat.
So Sevi Jarvan's boat, yep, winning group. I think that Smeg will be in the top. And which boat's Lee Napton on? Lee Napton's out here as well, isn't he? I'm not going to discount Lee Napton. I think
Napo's on the Oak Double Bay, Nick.
he's on the Double Bay.
Yeah, very current indeed. A lot
Yeah.
of the... and just to remind you guys, the format here is all of the guest skippers are sailing with the regular crew that sail on that particular boat. They haven't had to bring the other two crews, so the boat handling should be pretty tidy on all the boats. It's really about the skipper's skills. So we're looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And we're now getting into the sequence. Nick, how's the time looking on us?
We have 2.5 to go, ladies and gentlemen, so halfway through the sequence, Mark, and I know that all these boats look like they're lining up for a pin and start at the moment, stacking up at the boat.
And the short beat, 0.8 of a mile, we're looking for a 25-minute run time for the total race. I can see not too far away the pin. It's a pretty generously long line. There's no lack of space on this line, that's for sure. But this is a very tight racetrack. They've got to make their minds up pretty early. But it's this tight, Nick, this short course racing. You got to choose left or right, and you can't really change your mind.
Absolutely, and if you start at the pin, that might be well and good, but it looks to me like this raining cloud's on the right-hand side of the course, so you could end up getting pinned out there. I just saw Rob Brown going for a bit of a body drag as he comes back from the left-hand side of the course. Go Brownie. Oh, look what's behind us. Look at this. Everybody's lining up.
I'm just going to turn around and look at that fleet. You can see them over my shoulder from the camera you're looking at right now. They're all lined up in classic position. Most of the fleet having a nice degree of interest in the Cavite boat. A couple of boats down one boat down the pennant right now. All the rest looking for here. But I know what's going to happen here. There is not enough real estate for the whole fleet to start up here. There's going to be some argy-bargy coming up for sure. I think the teams with the best skills to hold that slow motion position and then accelerate is going to make a big difference.
Coming into the 1 minute here, Mark. 15 seconds to go to 1 minute.
Lining up.
Oh, this is exciting.
It's great to see this fleet all out, and it's not just the legends. Of course, there are some of the other regular crews are out here as well, testing their skills against the biggest names in the sport. There's the 1 minute gun. We've got something ridiculous in it, like 30 total of 30 JJ Gilton medal winners on this boat. If you add the whole lot up, it's crazy,
amazing.
isn't it? Trevor Barnabas, I think, has got 3. John Winning's got 1, and everywhere you look across the fleet, Sevi, obviously, as you said, 6 in a row he got, and then he got the extra 7th one, didn't he?
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable. As we're coming into less than a minute, everyone's creeping forward pretty slowly. Everybody's shy of the line.
35.
I'm not seeing anybody looking like they're going to be over at this point. We're just going to come back and have a little look at the line here. Going to get nice and close, give you the best shot we possibly can.
Lee Napton is right at the boat here. To leeward of him is Chris Nicholson. Then down to Finport, which is Rob Greenhouse. Down to Rag and Famish, which is Joe Turner. Smeg is coming through fast. That's Trevor Barnabas. That's our driver's pick. Triple M is Whitty. He's right in the middle of the line. This is going to be awesome, Mark.
Well, there's also a big cruise liner coming straight through the start fleet, straight through the line. The good ship Lady Audrey is about to cause a big issue. Anyway, that's the start. I've got Finport up at the committee boat end of the line. That's Rob Greenhouse, probably made the best of the committee boat starts. But this line looks a little bit left to me. We'll have to see how this pans out, see what happens to the first shift. But a clean start, despite the fact that the motorboat went straight through the line, just when we didn't want that to happen. We said it might be a ferry. Well, it wasn't. It was on a Friday night in Sydney. This time of year, there's a lot of charter boats out here. So everybody's on starboard, apart from the one little boat you're about to see on screen coming across here now, which is Rag and Famish. And then the rest of the fleet on starboard, but very early days. The hard left boats, the leaders are Del Zotto and Vintech in the hard left, winning group, middle left, and the right-hand side, the best of this group we're looking at right now is Finport. The plans is online to the right of Finport. That was quite calm, that start, Nick. I thought we might have had a bit of carnage. I think they just want to start.
I actually was going to say to you in the 1 minute gun, but I thought better of it. Should we put a bet on who's going to have the first big capsize? Because that could well happen today too.
Yeah, there's going to be swimming, that's for sure. There's no question about that. As we said, not a lot of breeze. Jimmy, powering up in a day like today, if you can get all 3 on the wire, you're in good shape, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. All crew weight out of the boat in any skiff is key critical to optimising the boat speed. But obviously, the bigger the boys on the boat, the harder it is to get them out there. But like Rob Greenhouse in front of us, and they were just comfortably 3 stringing. You got the Smeg here, you got bloke in and out, and that's very hard on the forward hands. Is normally the one that's got to go in and out all day. And,
I think Rob Greenhouse was quite happy when the draw happened. All the skippers today, at 7 o'clock this morning, it was a random draw for what boat you got. Nick, I know you were up early waiting to see what happened there. I reckon if I was Rob, I'd been pretty happy with the Finport as my boat.
Oh, absolutely. I know that he's friends with some of the guys on board, but He's been going very well all season, and it does seem to point unusually high. I'm not sure how they've got their rig setting set up, but even now I'm looking at them going, they're pointing quite high. Here's Triple M. They're going to duck Finport. That's David Witt ducking Rob Greenhouse. Yandu's holding all the way out to the left. We're still here with Rob Greenhouse, though. And we've got Smeg tacking. They're going to come right across our bow. We're going to have to reverse a bit because they've got a nice slow tack coming. That's Mr. Barnabas. Can hear starboard calls out on the right-hand side. Feels like this is all swung to the right in this raining cloud, as I may have assumed. Oh, we just saw Winning Group go across the bow of Rob Greenhouse.
That was actually on camera, so we'll wait to see. I know that
I think they let him go there.
Yeah, Rob gave them a little bit of a noise to see if they'd tack, but they didn't. And Rob did a bit of a bear away. We'll see if that's going to cost a couple of beers in the bar later on. It probably will.
I think it will.
So the Wimmer mark is probably only about 3 or 4 minutes sailing away at the moment. That cross on port, that narrow cross by Winning Group, that's Sevi Jarvin's boat, that puts them into the pole position on port. They're not nowhere near the port ley line, but they're in the leading group heading towards the right-hand side. And the boat that did that let them cross Finport, well, she's going to be following them closely.
I think Yandu's actually looking really good here.
Yeah, John.
Maybe I should have stuck with my original bet, hey?
John Winning Senior on the Yandu is at this point in time our leader on the water.
Go,
marginally.
Woody.
What do you reckon? Winning Group, can she tack and cross? Probably not. We'll wait and see. Actually, the angle looks a little different now, Nick, doesn't it?
It all depends how this cloud spins, as you can probably hear a bit of wind noise as we're going straight into it. I think it's a right shift, so I think that Yandu will have to duck Winning here.
So that we are right up in Rose Bay, near to the famous Catalina restaurant, near to where the seaplanes have their dock here as well. We don't normally race skiffs this far up. It is shifty and it's light and it's patchy. Anything could happen.
They're tacking.
There's John Winning on Yandu. Lee Bow, that's optimistic to lay from there, but let's see what happens.
I think they're going to do it. It is a big righty here. Let's see if they can make it underneath the young guns. This is old versus young, and they're just, they're so competitive. Look at them. They're not going to let go for an inch.
He's going to make it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to make it.
Good on you. Good on you, Woody.
Worked that boat hard. Look at him working the trap. He's going to get Woody around. Woohoo!
There's Woody, renowned for being the best heavy air sailor in the whole 18-foot skiff fleet, and on a light day, showing him he can do it in those conditions too. So first round, Yandu is at the first mark, race 1 of the Super Cup in first place. Second, the Winning Group, Sevi Jarvin. Third is Finport with Rob Greenhage. Thinking about a jibe set, Rob? No, maybe not. He brings his bow up, back on the windward, on the mark, on camera. There's David Witt. Whoever thought that would have happened? Going the wrong side of the buoy. Witty, you can hit the buoy, but you can't take it to the wrong side of it. Kitchen Maker, they go around in fourth. That's Steve Quigley. And then it's Smeg, Trevor Barnabas, it's Vintech, and Nick, what on earth is David Witt going to do now?
I'm not sure, but I think what he's going to have to do here is just try not to piss too many more people off.
Does he have a plan B?
No, I don't think he's got a plan B. Maybe he's going to back up here. I'm not sure. Look at Brownie. There's going to be words here if he hits Brownie. Oh, look. Oh, he does it with style. Brownie rolls that boat to windward and gets that little sprit underneath it. Go, Brownie.
Rob Brown, very delicate skills. Planters online. That's Chris Nicholson as the next one round. He's going to throw in the jibe. Yeah, I think the jibe set, I thought more might have gone for that. So he's jibe setting into some clear air, following Steve Quigley on the Kitchen Maker. Next round is Royal Oak. That's Lee Napton, our most current JJ winner in the fleet. A little bit further down the fleet than he would have wanted, but this is only race 1. There goes Dal Zotto. Next, it's Rag and Famish, and that's Joe Turner. Top moth sailor, 16-foot skiff sailor as well. Nice job from him. And there we have Armarine Pitwater.
Beechel.
Adam Beechel. Mate, he's back. He's an ex-skiff sailor, also an America's Cup sailor with Team New Zealand.
He's going to go round. He's made it.
And David Witt had to wait for the whole fleet. He did the right thing. He's got himself around, and look, on a race course like this, Jimmy, I've seen people come back from bigger losses than David Witt's in right now. It could happen, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Anything can happen up here in Rose Bay today. It's like you've seen that the haves and have-nots just before, and it's. I think we're going to see. Woody will come back. He never goes down without a fight.
Now, having said that, I mean, our leader, Nick, is John Winning, isn't it? He looks like he's extended, but there's not a lot of jibing here. It's a tight race course, not many options for them.
No, not many options at all. I actually think here, though, that Rob Greenhouse has moved up into second. It looks like that left-hand bottom mark is favoured, so the left-hand mark on your eyes heading out to the right-hand side of the work, a left-hand turn. Winning Group has dropped a place. They've either got to go round that further placed right-hand turn mark or they're going to have to work up at a really hot angle, and I think that Rob will get boy room on them on Finport Finance.
So it's such a short course, as we said, a downwind leg taking, probably not even 5 minutes, but first round the bottom mark, John Winning in Yandu is our leader, takes the left-hand mark as you look downwind, and second is going to be Rob Greenhalgh in Finport. Winning group going around the right-hand mark, not on camera right now, but they've dropped down to third. They just got the wrong side of that ley line, but they've got plenty of time to make up, and they have clear air by going around the different downwind mark. That is Winning group in third place, and immediately after, on camera, Smeg, Trevor Barnabas.
Come on, get it down, guys, get it down for him. I was wondering how we were going to go on this. I think there'll be a few gnarly drops today, but look, he's getting it away. Great work from the guys on board Smeg. Just tell you who that bowman is.
Mike McKenzie.
It's Mike McKenzie. He's done a good job with a late drop
and
there.
Jimmy, wouldn't it have to be the way? Trevor Barnabas on a wet day, Friday afternoon. He's still in the kind of arms-free wetsuit look, isn't he? That's the traditional Trevor Barnabas look.
Anything but.
Exactly.
I've sailed against him for many years.
It's a classic piece of skiff branding. Trevor is the man, and he used to sell a boat back in the day called Chesty Bond, which has got to be the best possible name.
That is absolutely brilliant. I interviewed a few of the guys in the boat park before racing, and Trevor said, I was like, are you excited for racing? He said, no. I thought it was going to be blowing 20 knots. This is a rip-off. He was ready to rock.
He's like John Winning. The fresher, the better. Anyway, back in the middle of the fleet, we saw the kitchen maker go round. That's Steve Quigley. And next it is Ilve with Rob Brown. That guy, he did a lovely little bearway, as Nick mentioned, at the top mark. Just flicked the top windward bars up, went round cleanly. And next behind him, it's a Plances online. Pretty much all the boats going to this left-hand mark as you look downwind. It's a little bit closer, a little bit of beneficial bias. And then it's Adam Beechel on Our Marine Pitwater, and then Quality Marine Clothing, one of our regular fleet. And the back three, well, David Witt, Jimmy, you did say he could make up some ground. Like, he's already into the back four, isn't he?
Yeah, mate, he doesn't muck around. Like, I've just got back from watching him up in Thailand, burn around in that mod 70, and he loves speed.
Yeah, he's got a 100-foot maxi going at the moment. He's got a trimaran going. Knowing Widdy, he'll probably find himself on a Volvo, Nick. Wouldn't surprise me. You'd have to say Volvo's going to Imoca 60s or whatever they actually end up with. He'd be a pretty tidy guy to have on board.
I think he would be. I think that David Witt, the Scallywag program, is one of the teams looking to putting towards a Volvo program, or a round the world program, which will be supported by Volvo cars. They haven't really come up with a name for it yet. Last night at the CYC, it was announced by Stacey Jackson that Vestas, or 11th hour, near capsized by Winning Group over on the left-hand side of the course, and we'll be putting in an option with Charlie Enright and Mark Tao. So there's a few teams now starting to put their neck out. Chris Nicholson is here. He's one of our skippers, and he has confirmed that he'll be doing it, supported by Axo Nobel, with one of the younger guys that was on board with him too.
Good to hear, and so interesting that so many of these Volvo sailors come for the 18-foot skiff fleet here in Double Bay. A lot of them, they learn their skills here, they go into the big world, and they build their professions. And how nice it is today, here on Friday for the SuperCup, that they come back to where it all started, here with the 80-foot skiffs in Sydney, and in this case, in Sydney Harbour. Look, back on the race course, our leader is, we think, just Yandu, John Winning. Close behind here is Rob Greenhalgh. Out of the right-hand side, Smeg and Trevor Barnabas. He went up the right-hand side of the beat. And the Winning group, who, as we said, had dropped to place on that last downwind leg, they just did a tack that Sevi will be not too proud of, and virtually capsized in flat water at 8 knots. Not what you usually see from a 7 times JJ champion, but let's be honest, they've got Tom Swingsby on board, and he doesn't know how to sail, does he, Nick?
Well, he knows how to sail for sure, but I'm not sure he's really confident on a wire. But I have to say that this right-hand side of the course is favoured, and as I mentioned at the bottom, going around that right-hand turn mark may have been costly to them.
Yeah, they'll certainly blame it on Tom, that's for sure.
Big
Why wouldn't you? So tacking first, John Winning onto the starboard ley line. He's still our leader. It's super close between Finport and Smeg. I think Trevor Barnabas might have got up to second, but he's inside on port. I think he'll better tack.
Left-hand shift here. I think Trevor's going to be in the lead in second place at the top.
There is the Finport tack. Rob is going to hope that he gets enough breeze to lay. First round at the top mark for the second time with just one downwind to go. John Winning on Yandu. He's looking like he could win this first race. Got a nice little advantage, a little bit more of a gain than he had last time. Second round, Trevor Barnabas. He's gained 1 place on this beat. He did that by going hard right. All he's done is 3 tacks up this beat, 2 little ones at the end. Third round is Finport.
Then it'll be Vintech.
Vintech, they've improved, haven't they?
They've done so well. Dan Phillips, Dan Barnett and Tim Westwood. great gains on that beat. Just fantastic work.
Dan Phillips of the X49, a sailor, sailed with Chris Nicholson, who was in the 49er slot for Australia in 2000, and has been carrying on sailing skiffs with various different crew, and he can show that he can helm the boat just fine. There was Vintech.
And fifth around, big gains from old mate Prudential Rob Brownie.
Rob Brown, he's a cunning old fox, isn't he?
Go Brownie.
Rob Brown in the original Prudential wetsuit. If you look closer, you'll see the branding is still there. It's been hung up in his locker for about the last 20 years. Name still on the back. Nice job. He obviously get the mothballs on that one to keep it in one piece. And next around, winning group, Sevi, Tom Slingsby, and Sam Newton making a recovery from that slightly average tack before, but they're still in the hunt. They've dropped a few. They were third the first time round as top mark. They've got a bit of work to do here. One beat, one run to go till the finish of this race. Next around is going to be the kitchen maker, Steve Quigley. Plants is online, Chris Nicholson, Armoring Pittwater, Adam Bieshel. It's a star-studded fleet. Every time you talk about the crew, Nick, it's just like a who's who of yachting.
I can't. I'm a bit flabbergasted here. I'm like, it's a bit rock star-ish. I'm trying to deal with how many amazing people are out on the water and watching how great these guys are with their boat handling when maybe they haven't been on board for quite a while.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I mean, it would be fun to see in 20 knots, that's for sure. It would look a little different. I know some of these guys, people like Trevor Barnabas, John Winning, David Witt, they would love it to be a lot fresher. But as in yachting, you get what you get. We'd love to bring you sunshine and beautiful sunset pictures of Sydney, but it's raining and it's grey. That's a fact of life, and it's light. But it's no less intriguing as yachting goes.
I think this is actually the best condition we could have hoped for, because it sort of evens the playing field amongst those who maybe haven't sailed for a while and those who have sailed for quite some time. But I think we're going down to the finish now. We can't get through. But when I was walking through the boat park, we mentioned Brownie being in his original kit. And I have to say that there were at least 6 sailors with their original Grand Prix harnesses, and they're all very proudly telling me that they still fit in them, Mark. Which I thought was
I don't think that's true for a second. So then we're going to get down the bottom, and I think we're pretty clear who's going to win. It's not a photo finish. More interesting to see what happened at that top mark. Next, so down at the bottom, this is the finish. It's going to be John Winning. Looks like he's maintained that lead sail pretty conservatively. There was only really one jibe. It's pretty much all port jibe on the way down, all starboard on the way up. That's the way it is sometimes in Rose Bay. Big advantage to be the leader, but John Winning's made no mistakes. He goes across the line first.
Finport second, I reckon. There.
Yeah, I think so.
Finport got up to second. Joe overtook Speg on that run. I think they jibed early, didn't they, Jimmy? And got the inside line.
Correct, yep.
So second we're going to give to Finport, third to Smeg, fourth to Vintech. Vintech have gone downwind, actually, just as well as they went upwind. We'll keep an eye on them on race 2. Great performance. And who's in fifth, Nick? Looks like you're
That is Brownie. Yay! On the Ilvi. Awesome work by those guys. Look at them coming over this wave here. Are we with them? No, within Vintech. But I'm just watching some of the guys coming downwind, and they look like they've never been off a skiff.
Yeah, just to the right of the boats on the picture. We're about to see Rob Brown. He's just finished. That gun was Rob Brown finishing.
Yeah.
And the story for the last few days, Nick, has been Rob Brown coming up with excuse after excuse about why he didn't want to do this. Now he's here. He's in his element. He's loving it. He's sailing well. I think he's pretty pleased he came, isn't he?
I think he's very keen. And I was talking to him on Tuesday when we were doing our big boat broadcast, and he was one of my commentators. And he said, "Oh no, I've pulled a hammy. I can't do it. I can't do it." And he tried to get out of it all the way till this afternoon, and he managed to come good. So next across the line is winning group with Sevi, Sam and Tom Slingsby, who's got his knees very, very bent on that wire as they come past the front of the boat.
That was in 6th place.
Oh, 6th place, sorry. Oh no, we've got a bit of a trawl happening here with Brownie on Ilvi. That's all right, they're across the finish.
Next across the line will be the kitchen maker, and that'll be Steve Quigley. A nice little result for race 1. Remember, we are trying to get 3 races in here if we can. We're certainly going to get 2 in. If we don't get too much of a thunderstorm, I've seen a bit of lightning in the distance. We're going to aim for 3 races. Plenty more action coming your way very soon. Next across the line, David Witt. How did he do that?
What a genius.
Jimmy, talk me through how on earth he did that. He was dead last and some. Look at him now.
Mate, those 3 boys will be having the time of their life today. They're great old crew. Yeah, when I was speaking to Whitty last week overseas, he was telling me how much he was looking forward to it. He showed me a forecast originally at 25 knots, Mark, and he goes, "We're definitely going regardless."
With Chris Nicholson soaking deep, looking like he was sailing a keelboat there, wasn't he? Like it was showing you can run deep in a skiff as long as there's no more than 10 knots of breeze. And there's Rag and Famish, that's Joe Turner. And down the far end of the line, Adam Bieshel. We just see in the distance that if you can see through the rain, that is Adam Bieshel on Art Marine Pittwater.
Indeed, and I've just got to say, so Joe Turner is on the back for Rag and Famish, but in the middle he has Craig Ferris, who's got his original harness on. It's quite entertaining that Joe ended up on the helm with Ferris in the middle.
Tell us a bit about Nick Ferris.
Craig Ferris.
Craig Ferris.
He's been around for quite a while. He's now actually coaching one of the New South Wales development squads, and he sailed in the Grand Prix days. He's grown up with all the guys as well, but I think Joe Turner got the call up, and he thought, that's a bit interesting that I got the call up. I'm going to get my mate Ferris on board. So he's been having a great catch up too. I think that's what most of the guys have said today is the best bit about coming back for this Super Cup, is that they get to catch up with so many friends that they haven't. There's a vet finishing. She's one of the regular sailors on Quality Marine Clothing. And then we'll have Royal Oak, which is, I believe, one of my picks. That's Lee Napton.
Yeah, Lee used to be at the more pointy end of the fleet, but you get what you get on a day like today. Yeah, I think the sailors undoubtedly loving catching up with their mates, but also these boats are just good fun. They are big bits of kit. There's a lot of sail area. They're kind of tweaky, and this is high quality racing. And if you can turn up to a yacht club and actually get someone else to rig the boat for you and then go racing against some of your mates here, well, why wouldn't you? Well, sounds pretty good to me, Jimmy.
Mate, sign me up. I definitely want in on that one.
Oh, we should have put you out for the Super Cup, Jimmy. Yeah. Oh, wait, who would drive? We need you, sorry.
Next year we'll have a camera cap crew. How would us three do? Pretty badly is what I'm thinking. Don't think we'd be troubling the scorers too much. So here is Dal Zotto, who's crossing the line. I think she's going to be our last finisher. I can't see anyone else further upwind. Now, our race officer did say we're going to start the next race pretty damn soon, and bear in mind it's raining and they're all getting wet. That will happen, so don't go too far from your screens wherever you're watching us. They're
just going to go for a quick AP. We just had Van Munster come past and say they're just going to go for an AP, just to rejig the course a little bit and make sure it's fair for everybody. I think they're going to move a little bit closer to the pin, but we'll keep you posted, guys, on what's happening. We might go have a little chat to the race committee. Yeah, there
was talk about the fact, maybe this is about to happen now, that the next race might be a three-lap race.
3 laps, awesome.
There we go, we got the confirmation. I don't think that rules out a third race. It's just that race happens so fast, Nick, because the course is short. It's kind of what we want. We're getting the word from the race officer. Yeah, 3 laps is the next race. The top mark looks like it's not being moved. I can't see it shifting.
All right, we're straight into it.
AP ended. That means get ready to set your watches. The next gun will be 5 minutes. Nick, are you on time for us?
I am on time. I'm just getting my phone off the lovely Tara Quigley, who's helping me out on my social today. What a legend. Nice. Yeah, it's great guns.
Yeah, race officer just checking that the camera cat's happy with. I've never heard that before. How's that? Race officer asking if we like the course. Well, I think that's...
Our BMG uphill's brilliant, so I don't mind.
Jimmy, more importantly, we should encourage that kind of behaviour from race officers. They should be checking in with us, don't you think?
Exactly.
I'm all for it.
We always win on the camera cat. We know this, guys.
We've got a pretty good race officer team here, and as the great race officers do, they're making sure that the competitors are getting the product that they want. That's how it should be, and that's what happens in skiff racing in Double Bay. The 18-foot skiff's a great tradition of very high-quality race officering, and what is an incredibly hard harbour in amongst the traffic and in amongst their other boats to set up a fair race course and keep it safe. Well, they do it week in, week out.
And Doug does a lot of it by himself too, Mark, yeah? Like lays all the courses, lays all the marks, starts the race.
Yeah, a lot of hard work put in.
Are we able to get the camera on the camera cat right now? Because John O'Witty is doing a great job making sure we can bring all this tech to you in the pouring wet. It's walking around like he's a duck with flippers on.
It's a wet environment.
We're a bit wet out here.
We are hoping to make sure that we get the drone up in the air soon. And in this amount of rain, it's kind of hard to do, and that's why we're not giving any more drone pictures. But as soon as we can, as soon as Jono can get sorted, and hopefully the rain stops, we'll give you some great drone shots. So 4:30 to go. Get ready for the 4-minute gun if you're at home. Get ready to set your watches.
Fair bit of banter going on between a few of the boats out there, I'm hearing, going on.
Get ready for the 4-minute gun. Weather conditions, much the same. Breeze, there was 4 minutes. Breeze is about the same. I would say, I think I'm being optimistic, Jimmy, but slightly more breeze, just a click more breeze, same direction. What do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree there, Mark. Like, obviously, this low cloud is compressing the breeze in a little bit here, but, only maybe 6 knots now. Not a massive increase, 6-7 knots, but, I think we'll see 3 guys on wire, hopefully up this first work, which is,
that's what we want to see. Looking back on the first race, Nick, if you were racing here, which would you be going, left or right?
I'd be going right, especially at the top end of the beat. And I think I'd be wanting to start middle of the line with an option to tack. So I don't want to see myself getting forced out on that pin side of the line. It is pin favoured in my eyes, but given that it seems to be swinging right with this cloud, that's where I'd want to be.
So it's kind of like, I think it is, I agree, Doug, it is pin favoured, but I think
Yeah.
the problem with it's not pin favoured enough that you're ever going to be able to tack and cross because the beat's too short.
Absolutely, and we talk about tactics and strategy in short course racing, and sometimes your strategy has to overrule your tactics. So, I'm really liking the right.
And there's also, of course, the variable of this particular race fleet where the tacking is not going to be the absolute best because it's guys who don't sail together. We saw it even, the winning group, not putting in their best tack, which is, you would expect that with the calibre of those sailors, but they just haven't sailed together. So all it takes is the tiniest slip up and the tack looks ugly, then you don't cross the boat, and then you have a bad day.
Absolutely, so true, and that's why I think both James and myself mentioned before the broadcast started when we were picking our boats that those that have sailed together more often than not will perhaps have an advantage given that they've worked together. Being a crew and being a unit is just so important, especially on tricky days. In and out and all those transitions that you're making between those differences in pressure are just so important.
So the fleet getting themselves organised, they're all heading back towards the committee boat. They're on port. We said we will try and give you the drone shot if the weather will just improve a tiny bit. The rain is still fairly consistent and persistent and other such words. But for now, the fleet on port back towards the committee boat, and they'll be getting themselves organised like last time. That big stack up at 1 minute that we so often see in skiff racing. You see the same kind of thing in 49er racing as well, where usually the boat that's best at not moving forwards, ironically, can win the race.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're looking for a line and we're looking to dig a hole, the boat that doesn't move forward and then can accelerate when they choose to do so, that's the most important thing with starting, Mark, I believe. I mean, trigger, we call it a trigger pull, and I know that you're quite a good sailor yourself. You will have practiced a million of these.
Yes, how not to go sideways, that's the thing, isn't it? Not going forwards is sort of all right, but how do you not go forwards and not go sideways? That's where the real skill lies. Anyway, we've got plenty of skill on show here in this fleet. They're all on starboard, pretty much all on starboard tack now.
And on screen at the moment, you can see Rob Brown coming back. He is the sole port tacker at the moment. He did this exact same start approach last time, doing the old school port approach.
1 minute gun.
And the breeze has just gone right up the course too, Mark. It just slightly flicked to the right here.
Did I make that happen, or was it already happening? The right-hander.
There's the fleet in the camera. You can see just behind the committee boat there. A lot of boats, well, pretty much the whole fleet on starboard now, as Nick said. Rob Brown trying the port tack approach. He's not going to be, he's just going to find a slot in the middle of the line, I think, if he possibly can. So we're getting close to the start, about 30 seconds. You might see in a second, you're about to get a drone shot in a second, and you'll see Rob Brown try to pop into the middle of that line. Down the hard left, it's Royal Oak and Appliances on line, and Winning Group yet again fancying their chances on the hard left. Up here at the right end of the line, you see Smeg, we can see Triple M, that's David Witt. Kitchen Makers up here, Finport, Rob Greenhage, much the same place for him. He's sort of middle right, that worked out well for him last time. Down the pin end, Royal Oak, if they got their timing right, they could be in great shape. Winning Group, just up to women of them at Plants Online. Is Chris Nicholson over the line? Is that one gun or two? If it is, it'll be Chris Nicholson. No second gun. Chris Nicholson must have been so close.
Very generous.
Maybe slash generous. But and we have another motorboat approaching yet again. Guess what? A large motorboat approaching our fleet. This one's been quite well behaved. That's the good ship Quantum. She's about 100 footer. But she's keeping out of the way. And early doors, well, hard right, it's Lee Napton on Smeg. Just to the right of your picture, you're seeing Triple M there. There's Smeg at the bottom of your picture. She's the most hard right boat. Triple M and Kitchen Making having a really good battle to try and hold a lane, just to leeward of them. And down at the left-hand end of the line, Winning Group looking good, and the Appliances online. Nick, how do you like the look of the fleet so far?
Oh, I'm loving it, and I'm just smiling because at the moment we've got Barnabas. Witt has just tacked on Triple M. Then you've got Quigley, and then we've just had Woody tack. This is like watching your heroes all at once. It's amazing.
And these are guys that they want to find a lane. They need clear air, and if you don't quite nail the start, usual deal in yacht racing, you have to take a little bit of medicine. You've got to tack away. But they're tacking away to the right side of the beat, and so far we reckon that's the place to be.
Absolutely. I think Smeg has just gotten a massive header on the left, though. You've got to look for lanes of pressure in Rose Bay. It's all about these little veins that come down. They've got to come a long way, especially in this southeasterly direction. We don't call it a 6 sou'easter in Sydney for no reason. It's got to come over a lot of land before it lands here on Rose Bay, and then you bring in clouds to it as well, which are affecting everything, and you've got a real mismatch of pressure.
So down to the left end of the line, we've got Winning Group. We've got Royal Oak Hotel on camera right now. And at the moment, the boats in the left middle are generally looking like they're doing a little bit better than the boats on the right. So the boats we're looking at now, that's where the leaders could be coming from. And we're going to switch across to the middle of the fleet and take a look at who's trying to run down the middle. That's Rag and Famish and Appliances Online we were looking at just then. And there you can see Smeg, who is the boat that came off the line in great shape on the right-hand side. She's kind of the leader of that middle left group, but there are 3 or 4 boats that were forced to tack off, including John Winning, who won in the first race. He is hard right. He's right on the bricks on the hard right-hand side. He's taking a punt. Didn't take her with him as well. Remember, she did very well in race number 1, and Triple M are there too. So 2 or 3 boats to the right, most of the fleet to the left, and the boats on camera. There is Smeg crossing Rag and Famish, crossing Appliances Online. So I think Smeg is probably the leader of that group. We are only, what do you reckon, Nick, 2 or 3 minutes from the rounding here?
Yeah, 2 or 3 minutes from the rounding. I would have said before the tack that Chris Nicholson on Appliances Online was in the lead. If he gets some pressure coming back, and not surprisingly given that start if you were watching earlier, it's interesting though, this next bout of pressure is coming out of the middle. So we could see Yan do quite well in the top end of this beat. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
We're just seeing John Winning on a fantastic drone shot there in amongst the rain. There's John. He's the hard right boat, as you can see. You can see the left group approaching on port, and as ever, you can see a 5-degree shift either way is going to dictate who gets around this first mark first. At the moment, it's looking pretty good for John Winning again, but it won't take much for Appliances Online, who's the left-hand boat on that port, close to that port lay line, not quite, but the most left-hand boat, to change the fate of what happens to this top mark. So it's super close. It's getting light up here. They're just 3 stringing, but only just. At this point in time, I didn't think we'd be saying this. I don't know why, but I think John Winning's going to go around the top mark first for the 2nd time in a row.
I think John Winning's making me look good here for calling a middle of the line tack and then going right, because that's exactly what he's done, and he's going to lead around this top mark. What a legend!
And he was a little more intentional. A couple of them got forced to tack off, but John looked like he had a plan. So first at the top mark in race 2, John Winning on Yandu, and he sets up straight for the drive set straight away. 2nd, Vintech. 3rd, Smeg. These are the same boats pretty much that we had first time around. We had Finport in there as well, who's not done quite so well in race 2. But anyway, 2nd around is Vintech. 3rd around is Smeg. Then, as you can see, it's super close up here. Kitchen Maker, Coopers, Appliances Online, Finport, Ilve, they couldn't be closer. The boats that went hard left, I can see Winning Group, that didn't play out for them in the end. She was the best for the left-hand boats for a while. And then it's Royal Oak, but this fleet is super close. It was about a 7-8 minute beat, short run to the bottom. Remember, this is a 3-lap race, so a little bit more racing to happen in this one. Plenty more time to make up ground. But early days, it's Yandu is our leader, having jibe set, and the non-jibe setters, it's Smeg and it's Kitchen Maker.
Absolutely, I'm loving this jibe set too, and I'm loving this vision. You can see how close the action is with these boats, and Finport Finance is in a little bit of trouble there. Can they save that capsize? Yep, with a flick of the mainsail, they're off again. Fantastic work by the team. Maddie Stenter and Charlie on board with Rob Greenhouse today.
So those boats that did the Barroway set are on camera right now. They're the Barroway set group, and you're just seeing Smeg getting the early jibe in out of that group, and probably all the boats will jibe inside her, as often happens. But right now, I'm liking what John Winning did. He jibe set, Jimmy Berry, it's working, and maybe he just feels there's more pressure on this side, but I reckon he's extending here.
I reckon he's extended definitely there. Like, you know, Woody's a bit of an artist when it comes to this sort of thing, and definitely spent a lot of time out here, a lot more time than the other guys recently, knowing the harbour. So, and I think he's got this down pat. Like, I like where he's going. I think he's definitely on the right side of the course, and you know, this is where I'd definitely like to set up all day over on this right side.
There's also something to be said in this kind of racing, Nick. It gets hectic, this SuperCup racing, just kind of keeping it simple, and I reckon John's just doing a cracking job of not overcomplicating the problem.
I think he really is, as we see him do a not so brilliant jibe there, and Appliances Online are coming in, and that just shows you where the basics are really, really important. That windward sheet got stuck there, and all of a sudden Appliances Online is on top of him. He can still save this though. He's coming in on a nice lay line. But as you were saying, Jimmy, I mean, if you're going to protect that right-hand side upwind, it doesn't make sense to not protect the left-hand side downwind, so, well, being the same right-hand side looking uphill. Look at Brownie, though. He's coming in on port. You can see the Ilve Spinnaker on this amazing drone shot. It's that black Spinnaker He's coming across on port. He's going to have to come up behind Yandu, but he has definitely closed the gap down this run. I know I might be a bit, Brownie biased.
No,
but
he's done well.
What
He's
a
done
ledge.
well, Nick, for sure. But Smeg, she didn't do the jibe set. She was the bearaway set. She's actually going to cross. You can see on the camera very clearly there. She's going to cross ahead of Yandu. So at this point in time, Smeg is now our new leader. Yandu and Ilve are pretty close to 2 and 3. So it turned out that the other side of the run, where we were wrong, we called that completely wrong. Well, it was the way to go. It's not a big spread. Remember how close Yandu and Smeg were at the top mark? They've just switched places, probably a couple of boat lengths gain to go down the run as you look downwind on the right-hand side.
Smeg's definitely got 2 jibes to do. There they go, just doing 1 jibe.
They also had a jib backed there for the predominant of their port jibe there. I'm not sure if they noticed that top batten was stuck on their
They're actually
mast.
really hard to get through the boat in a jibe, Nick, and there's not enough pressure in the jib for it to flop all the way through.
Copy.
And with these big top battens that a lot of them are running, like, you've almost got to have the spinnaker back onto the jib to pop the top batten through.
So here we are at the bottom mark. You can see it looks very slow motion from the drone shot, but it is light airs here. Smeg has managed to get into the lead, so she was second at the top mark, which is now into first, and Yandu is close behind her. And at the other mark remember there's 2 downwind marks, the other downwind mark, it's Rag and Famish of Planters Online and Ilve, all going for that one. Back here on the mark closest to us, I think that Finport is going to, if she can just squeeze in that gap, Rob Greenhage doing his best to get in there. Steve Quigley and Sevi Jarvin trying to see if they can find a little gap. Oh, there's plenty of chat. There's plenty of advice being given from boat to boat. The end result, though, is Finport goes round clean. Kitchen and winning group. Well, Kitchen Maker winning group not coming to blows, but a degree of creative disagreement, Nick Douglas. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Absolutely. I think coming into that bottom mark, Finport Finance had an overlap on winning group, and winning group had an overlap on the Kitchen Maker. So technically, Kitchen Maker should have gone right around the outside there, but they did. They didn't infringe. Quiggs didn't do anything wrong there. I think it was just a tough rounding by winning group there. They're also trying to avoid any sort of collision. We don't want to see collisions out here, but I think they were just coming in a bit slower as well. They were to leeward of both those boats, so tough one.
So just on camera there, you just seen David Witt's just gone around this mark. We're just up behind him now. You can see him on the drone shot. There he is. Oh, now we're on the lower camera. Both shots showing us very clearly. That's the Triple M. There's Dave Witt and his crew heading off to the right-hand side. That has paid upwind so far, so why wouldn't you go this way? And hard right is Smeg. You can just see her crossing the left-hand side of your picture there. And in front of Dave Witt, you can just see the back of the sail. That's Finport ahead of David Witt, and to leeward there's the Kitchen Maker. And just up to windward of David Witt that you can't see, but I can, is Vintech. So there's a lead group on the right-hand side: Smeg, Finport, Kitchen Maker, Triple M, and finally Vintech. That is your group on the hard right-hand side.
Do you know what, Mark? There's something that's very common between the best of the best sailors, and that is that they learn. And you can see Trevor Barnabas, Rob Greenhouse, Steve Quigley, they've come out to this right-hand side, and they're probably all the 3 of them are going to be with Yandu, I believe. We'll see how this all pans out.
I've got a feeling they might be ahead of Yandu. John Winning got himself caught a little bit around that bottom mark. He tacked for clear air. He went up the middle left of the beat, and I think Smeg is clear ahead. I think we've got more clear ahead than she was at the bottom mark. Remember, she was leading, but only just. Smeg now looks like our clear leader, just tacking in front of you there. That's David Whitty. Looked like he was heading in for a beer off that pier for a second, didn't he?
Yeah, it looked like he was going to have a kiss with that catamaran. I was not sure what was going on there. Yeah. And it's called Perfect Day, that catamaran, as it goes past. I don't think they realise that they need to give way to sail. But anyway.
So there's Vintech heading upwind. She's hard right. That's pretty much starboard ley line. If you look at the distance, you can see the orange mark. That is the windward mark. There's Rose Bay right in front of you. Ilve, Rob Brown, he likes to look at the right-hand side as well. He's probably going to smack a tack on his old mate David Witt, just for old time's sake. Oh, he's been generous. He's let the kid off the hook. So Rob Brown rolls into attack now. Good skills from Brownie. Nice little tack there. Nothing wrong with that.
And at the moment, we've got Chits up wiping the camera as requested by your comments on Facebook, guys. So thank you to Chittenden for doing that. And this is the last time he's going to do it, because it's absolutely pissing with rain and we're all trying to do our best out here. So you get your one request wonder, guys. That's it.
So we're right behind Ilve here, getting a close look at Rob Brown. All the memories are coming back to him. All those 18-foot skiff championship wins. And of course, he did have the small matter of winning the America's Cup back in 1983 as well. One of the junior trimmers on board, but that set him up for a pretty stellar sailing career. Up close and personal with Rob Brown, up at the front of the fleet in the distance, not too far away. There is the familiar branding of Smeg. She's going to be going round first. And second round will be John Winning. And it's going to be very close between Finport and the Kitchen Maker. So no lead change. Smeg still leads top mark for the second time. Remember, it's a 3-lap race, but Smeg has extended and rolled straight into the jibe set. Second round, John Winning, keeping it together without any question. Plenty of pace, great boat handling skills. John Winning on the Yandu goes round clear second. Rob Greenhow just played this beat pretty nicely. He went middle right. He's got the right side of that last little shift, and that puts him around the top mark in third, in close company of Steve Quigley, one of the crew on Wild Oats 11. He'll be on his way to Hobart in a few days' time, and 10 days' time or so, the Hobart race start. And Steve Quigley won the JJs back in 1996, I think it was. So it's been a few years between drinks for him.
It has been a few years between drinks, but as you mentioned when we first started this broadcast, Mark, he's no stranger to fantastic level of sailing, as most of these sailors are, hence the Super Cup today.
There's the winning group, that's Sevi Jarvin, 7-time JJ winner. He goes round the mark, he's in about 8th or 9th position, and he's a bareway setter as well, because ahead of him was Joe Turner, he was the jibe setter. So we got a real split in the fleet. Remember, our leader Smeg did a jibe set, so she's going downwind, left-hand side of the run as you look downwind. On the right-hand side, Rob Greenhouse is rolling the dice. He's going hard right. He's probably going to try and one jibe this. It's hard to know what's going to work. I haven't really seen as big a difference downwind, Nick, as upwind. Which side do you like the look of?
Yeah, I'm loving the right-hand side of the track at the moment, which is the left-hand side, the port jibe side. I think basically anybody who's gone for any massive length of time on starboard is going to lose here. Massive right-hand shift at the moment. I think
big extension to Smeg, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, Smeg is coming back to the line, but they're doing their jibe now because they jibe set, and Woody is just looking beautiful as he's coming across here. He's definitely secured second. I'm just trying to have a look at, I think the Kitchen Maker may get Rob Greenhouse here. We'll have to see how this plays out with the earlier jibe.
So there's the Kitchen Maker on camera, just on your left-hand side of your screen, and that's Asco Spinnaker. That's actually Triple M. She's brought a spinnaker of Asco today. That's David Witt's boat. He's in a lovely gust right now. You know, that's 6 or 7 knots, Jimmy. That's gone. We're now in 8 to 9 knots, gusts of 10.
Yeah, it's starting to really get up there, and I think what we're going to see is a lot more exciting sailing coming our way.
Yeah, and at the bottom mark then for the second time, 1 lap to go.
Oh yeah, one more lap.
We do, 3-lap race. Here is Smeg, and she goes around first. She's extended her lead. That's Trevor Barnabas.
That is Trevor Barnabas.
Multiple skiff champion winner, and also his son Trent Barnabas is also a multiple JJ Giltman winner, and his grandson is bound to be one too, because the Barnabas family is a proper sailing dynasty, that's for sure.
And
So
just off camera, Mark, you've got the Kitchen Maker made the mistake thinking that it was just a 2-lapper.
Oh no,
good
they're going to
spot,
come back.
Jimmy.
We
Good
might
spot,
have to
Jimmy.
get out of their way.
Yeah, second round is Yandu. A third round would have been the Kitchen Maker, but as Jimmy said, it's not a finish, it's a rounding, and they thought it was a finish. They're going to have to sail back to the finish line, to the mark. That is going to be expensive. So third round was in fact Finport due to all that messing around. And fourth round, I think, is going to be David Witt, though he is going to the unadvantaged downwind mark, which will cost him a bit. Sevi Jarvin's following him.
I think they just couldn't get the jibe in there. They were coming in way too hot from the right-hand side, and they've opted to go to that right-hand mark rather than potentially put themselves in the drink, which, as we know, is much slower.
And here comes the Kitchen Maker back for a second go at getting around this mark. Steve Quigley, round you go. Is he going to go the boat handling maneuver? Oh, he can't decide. He can't decide whether to jibe or not. He has jibed. Now he's jibing. He wasn't sure for a second there, but I think he's chosen the right mark.
Good save.
But that's been an expensive bottom mark for Steve Quigley, that's for sure. And coming downwind, we still have a couple of boats. We've got Del Zotto, and we'll try and pick up the last boat in a second. But and we've got our Marine Pitwater still coming towards us. But pretty frenetic stuff at the bottom. The fleet's very close together, Nick, still, isn't it? There's not a lot of extension in this fleet.
Absolutely. I think with short course racing, we call it the accordion effect. Everybody separates out on the work, and then as you get to the top mark, everybody picks up speed. They all come back together again. So that's why it's so exciting out here.
And on camera we're looking, that's the fleet on the left-hand side of the beat. Last beat, this is lap 3. And you're looking at the boat most left is David Witt on Triple M.
David Witt on Triple M. and he has with him Tom Clout and Tommy Anderson, his original team that he had on appliances online before his last Volvo. So great to see them all back together again on Triple M, and he'll be wanting to make amends for his first race, Mark, where we saw him doing some creative mark rounding. Yes,
Not for the first time in his sailing career, if that doesn't sound too harsh.
Meanwhile, we've still got David Witt there on screen. We've got a little bit of a droplet on the drone there, guys. It is still raining, so apologies for that. But they're coming in hard on port. You can see winning group to leeward of them, down to the kitchen maker who's coming back on starboard. But right here right high up on the course, if we can come back to maybe the onboard camera as we see winning group coming back across. There's kitchen maker coming behind them on starboard after that big loss when he missed the bottom mark.
Yeah, so Triple M, she's on the port ley line in good shape. And back on the starboard ley line is our good friend Trevor Barnabas. He's the most hard right boat. He's on the ley line and he's the leader. And he gets to the top mark for the third time, the last time for this particular race, in some degree of control, which in a short course race like this, against so many champions, is not unimpressive. Trevor Barnabas, never any doubt that he was going to be in this series, that's for sure. And he's kind of imposing himself. He had a good first race. He's had a fantastic second race. He's in great shape to win this race. He gets around the top mark. And with that extra bit of breeze, he's jibe set it again. I thought he might just gone for that barroway set, but he's remembering that downwind, the left-hand side is the place to be. So jibe set from our leader, Trevor Barnabas on spec. Second round, John Winning. Another great result. Looks like it's coming his way if he just keep it together for this last downwind. An unhelpful shift at the top mark. Now means he's going to have to double tack. He didn't want to do that, did he? Particularly because Rob Greenhouse is coming in with more pressure and might avoid that nasty little lefty at the top. Double tack from Yandu. A little shout from Rob requesting him to move himself. Oh, look at this. Good skills at the top mark. John Winning crew getting that boat around the mark, trying to minimise rudder movement, rudder usage, minimum drag. He gets the bearway done, but he's got Rob Greenhouse close up behind him, going around in third position. The battle for second and third, I reckon anything could happen here. Jimmy, who's your pick for who's going to be second or third here?
Have to go with Rob, wouldn't you? I've been liking that right side of the track, like that. Woody's on a brilliant little letdown over here with the straight set at the moment. So all he's got to hope is that gets a little lift there, jibe, and he's away. He could definitely get there, but I like where Rob's going. I think that's where my money would be at the moment.
So next around was Vintech, followed by David Witt, followed by Winning Group, and then Kitchenmaker, who's recovered pretty well, Nick. I mean, Kitchenmaker was all sorts of trouble at the bottom mark. She's right back in it. I reckon Steve's got some speed today.
I think he does too, and that boat's nicely tuned for him. He's sailing with his son, who's been sailing all season, and I know they've sailed together previously. Great job by Quiggs to bring so many youth sailors into the class to try and give it some longevity, because it is awesome to see all the legends and heroes out and about mixing it with the young guns, but we do need younger people to make sure that we can keep the class going, because it's so fantastic.
So we saw just up there Vintech again having another great race. That's Dan Phillips. Down at the bottom of the mark, we're on camera now with Smeg, who's getting close to finish. So Smeg, a significant lead. Trevor Barnabas, awesome performance, pretty impressive stuff from him. He's approaching the finish line now, the end of lap 3. He's got a pretty chunky lead, and as Jimmy said, Rob Greenhouse making life pretty tough for John Winning by choosing probably the better side of the run. We'll come back to him in a second. Just watch Smeg cross the line to win race 2, and then we'll come back and have a little look at this battle for second and third. And I can tell you off camera that Rob Greenhouse has managed to jibe in line with Yandu and ahead on what looks like a ley line to the finish. That's going to be very tough for John Winning to get past if there's no more jibing, which I don't think there is. Anyway, at the front of the fleet, from our fantastic drone shot from Aeromedia, who are providing these beautiful pictures. John Whitty, thanks so much for doing it yet again. Great shots. Michael Shidinen in the producer-director chair, choosing the right shot. Our leader, our winner of race 2, Smeg, Trevor Barnabas. Nice work, pal.
Finport second.
Absolutely brilliant work, and here comes Finport Finance with Rob Greenhouse, Matty Stenter and Charlie on board. And then we have Yandu with Berger up the front, Luke Parkinson in the middle with Woody on the back. Fantastic effort by those guys, a 1 and a 3.
And a close race between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Super close. Let's see what else is happening. So back on, just behind us, we'll get the cameras back to you in a second. Vintech, that's Dan Phillips, who's managing to find a lovely little puff just to finish in on starboard jibe. He'll be crossing the line in 4th position, just behind me. There you go, there's the shot. You can see it on the drone, much better than looking over my shoulder. There is Vintech, crosses the line. The good news is the racing is interesting. Even better news, Jimmy, the rain stopped and the wind's gone up. This is all the stuff we want. All we need now is a couple of cold beers.
They're right there on that ferry, right beside us, if we can get someone to pass them over.
I know that there is a very busy ferry, and I can tell you it's got a large
There's
number
Jack handing the beer out the window.
There's fridges all over that boat, all over them. Okay, next in line, Triple M. That's David Witt. Great result from Triple M.
Yeah, that'd work.
And then it's Sevi on winning group. Tom Slingsby, Sam Newton, charging downwind. Nice little result from them. I think they might have expected to have got maybe a little higher up by now, but yeah, they're coming through. There's another race. Fancy Sevi's chances on the last race. Next is Appliances Online. That's Chris Nicholson. And then Steve Quigley. That was a great recovery. And your mate Rob Brown, Nick, comes in just behind Steve. But hey, good job by Steve. Great recovery. Like to see the old fellas showing some good skills.
Absolutely. And you say, your mate Rob Brown. I'm mates with Quiggs. I'm mates with Rob Brown. I'm mates with a lot of these guys because a lot of these guys are diehards in the sport of sailing, and it just wouldn't be the same without them, because not only have they grown up in the 18-footers, but then they've gone on to give back to sailing in so many other ways, and that's why I think it's so great to see them out racing today. Well, one of the reasons why it's so great, because it's bloody good entertainment as well.
Yeah, it's good sport, isn't it? In this short format, I know the sailors by now, Jimmy, I know it's a couple of years since you've been at the pointy end of a skiff, but are they going to start to feel just a tad tired now? There's been a lot of spinnaker up and down action, isn't there?
Well, I think the good part though, Mark, is like the regular crews are there, so they're used to the up, down, and whatever. It's the wearing out of the skippers, I think, is what we're going to start to see in this race with the breeze going up. So we might be in for a few swims, I think, this next race.
Yes, I think that could possibly happen. I mean, the breeze is, I mean, it's not crazy fresh, but I mean, now I'm looking upwind, it looks like a really nice day to go skiff sailing. It now looks like it's solidly 8-9 knots, and I could suspect the odd gust of 10, 11, 12. Enough to make it interesting at the top mark. If your barroway's down speed, that kind of stuff, absolutely possible. We're going to see some swim action here.
Yeah, you know, it's almost at the top end of these rigs, you know, with the normal crews anyway. So, you know, like I think, you know, with some of these older guys and a little bit of fatigue setting in, I think you're going to see it all unfold.
It's a really good point, Nick. All the regular skiff watchers here, you know, the whole choice between big rig, small rig is always an issue. In these kind of conditions, we're getting towards the middle top end of that big rig, and I think the guys that know which string to pull right now, they're going to have a speed advantage here.
Absolutely, it's all about trim. We've got a small AP again, guys, while we just get ready for the next race. I think we've got a bit of radio call happening between a few of the boats. They might rejig this top mark with this big right-hand shift and the breeze increase, which is happening as this cloud starts to burn off.
And the pin, I think they're actually moving right
hooray.
now, which is probably good. I think I'd like to see a shorter start line.
Yes, please.
These guys can definitely handle a bit more jiggery-pokery on the start line. So let's hope they squeeze the start line up to make it more exciting for us. We're looking at probably race 3 and quite possibly 4 laps. I'm seeing a flag going up with a four-lap race. That means the last race is going to be relatively long, and the skipper's going to be absolutely shattered. Are they going to be able to carry their boats out of the water? These skiffs, for people who don't watch skiff racing, these boats have to get carried in and out of the water, fully rigged. They're pretty heavy, Jimmy.
170 kilos.
And I bet it feels like 270 after you've done
Definitely
an hour and a half of racing.
It feels like a lot more than 170 kilos when you put them on your shoulders, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be how their day ends, but before their day's going to end in the bar, let's be honest. But the bit before the bar is carrying the boat and de-rigging, which is never that much fun. But the best bit's coming up. It's race 3. Nick, it's a tough question for you, but that's why we got you here. Any idea on overalls at this point? Who's looking good for the 2 races so far?
In my brain at the moment, I'll just do some quick maths. I think that at the moment Yendu and Finport Finance and Smeg will be looking the best. That's just from what I'm feeling, gut feel, who's in good position.
And, yeah, Vintech, as you said, they've definitely been there or thereabouts, haven't they,
Yes.
all the way through. Who else is there? Well, hopefully maybe somebody watching this live on screen could do us the huge favour of doing a quick calc and post it, and we'll pick it up on
And message me.
on the channel. Message Nick.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up on the channel, and then we'll be able to tell the rest of the world what's going on. We haven't run the best scoring system, if I'm completely honest, but
We can't use pens at the moment because it's so wet out
it's
here,
been
so it makes it difficult.
it's like a memory test. It's like a strange TV show where we have to try to remember stuff, which is it's a little hard to do on a Friday afternoon.
And the banter on the ferry's up for some reason. I'm not sure what's caused
There's
that
a lot.
to,
There's a lot of
go
chat
up.
on the ferry. What you're seeing on the picture there, that boat in the middle, that is the ferry, surrounded by skiffs. There's talk about beers being thrown to crews. There's a lot of dialogue going on, and obviously there's a bit of betting going on. They're trying to encourage whoever they've bet on. And the skiff sailors, in these relatively light conditions, when they can actually sail around in a relaxed 2 or 3 knots, are enjoying the chat. If it was blowing another 5 knots, they'd just be hanging on for survival.
Yeah, absolutely. But this little bit of breeze here, I think, might actually make it easier on everybody. At least they're not going to be in and out. And transitions as we go into the 5. I'm a bit slow on my timer. I'm getting slow too. It's a bit harsh to make them do 4 laps. You were saying you're not sure if they're going to be able to carry their boats out of the water. I'm not sure if they'll be able to lift their beers into their mouths. This is full on. Here we go.
Yeah, a little bit more breeze. A lot of the skiff sailors always do say that the worst conditions are 2.5, 3 stringing. It's just physical for all the crew, and the balance is tough. The in-out thing really kills your muscles. So I think another knot or 2 of breeze. Good for everyone. I want to see another couple of knots, and I want to see a bit of action at top mark. I think it might happen. I know how hard it is in flat water like this, when there's not enough breeze to really get the boat going, but enough breeze to power it up. Fairways are actually really challenging.
Absolutely. I think
Easy to capsize.
I think the only thing harder to bear away, as far as I've heard, I've not had the opportunity to bear away an 18-foot skiff on the helm, is a 49er. Apparently they're a little bit trickier as we come into the 4-minute gun.
The hard part for a mark's going to be those that want to do the bear away and then into the jibe. That's where it's going to really come unstuck today, like in this last race. I think what you'll see is a lot of them will just go for the conventional bear away at the top, get settled, and then put in a jibe is what we're going to probably see a lot more of.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? Because the jibe set is always high tariff in any boat, always slow, and the same in skiffs. But what we've seen so far is the jibe set getting you to that left side of the run as you look downwind has paid every time.
Correct.
So it's a trade-off, isn't it? Do you take the risk, get to the safer side, or do you play conservative?
Well, I don't want to be on the riding lever. That's where you don't want to be. So I'd go to conservative and then the jibe after that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens at the top mark, but I think everyone's got an idea at the moment that. Do you think, is it too simplistic, Nick, to say the right-hand side is the right way to go up and downwind? That's kind of what we've seen, isn't it?
I think that is what we've seen, and I'm not sure what it is about Point Piper, which is on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Point Piper seems to always get this magic breeze. It's like the breeze tends to stick to it down the right-hand side, but no, it isn't that simple, especially as the cloud is coming and going. I mean, we all know the rule with raining clouds, you've got to sail to the cloud. We've had a little bit of a clearing, which means this pressure's increased from the right-hand side, but with more cloud, it will make it trickier yet again.
And looking into the distance upwind, there's a lot of more low cloud. There's like another wave of low cloud. Looks like more rain. Is what is that? 4 or 5 minutes away, something like that. But in front of that bit of rain, there's a bit of extra breeze. That's what we're in right now. The breeze may be slightly down from the end of that last race, just slightly. We're still in a sort of an 8-9 knot kind of space. Definitely three stringing right now. But a bit of rain to come. Could be a bit of wind on the front edge of that rain, and then could be soft at the back end of it. We're going to find out. 4-lap race. This is the last race. This is race 3 of the Super Cup here Friday, Double Bay, and what a great place to be. I hope we do this more often. I'm not sure we will because of logistics and planning and all that stuff, but I think if enough people watch this and enjoy it, if the sponsors get enough value out of it, the sailors love it. Nick, this could be the beginning of something that happens maybe not, it won't be every Friday, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I'd be good with that.
I'd be so good with that. How good is this? Is there a better way to spend Friday out on Sydney Harbour watching a bunch of absolute heroes sailing 18-foot skiffs? I don't think there is, and we're in the rain and my fingers are wrinkly and I'm still smiling, so it can't be all bad.
And coming up to 1 minute 30 to the start, and I also have to say I think where we got the race course is an absolute act of genius, because Friday evening in Sydney Harbour, it's chock-a-block with other people racing, and there's ferries, there's liners, there's all sorts going on, but we've hardly seen any of it. This has been pretty quiet as Sydney Harbour goes. I think it's a cracking racetrack, and I love the fact we've got so many other moored boats and houses and all the stuff around the outside of the racecourse to look at. It affects the breeze, it affects the shifts, but it gives the sailors something to go for if they don't come off the line in perfect shape. 1 minute 5. Get ready for that 1 minute gun at home.
Nice. And I'm wondering how many people are sitting in their lounge room around Rose Bay with a beer after their big Friday at work, watching these amazing sailors out on the water with their sponsors. You know, the sailing billboard is in full effect on a Friday night here in Rose Bay.
It's a good spot to be. Just 40 seconds to go. That line is looking like it's just as long as it was. It hasn't really been shortened, but it's been slightly adjusted to make it a little bit more square. Plenty of boats like the look of this end of the line. David Witt is on camera right now. He's at the most hard end of the line, but he's nowhere near the committee boat. The committee boat is that boat on Dave Witt's bow, not the big spectator boat to the right of it. So Dave Witt's got a bit to do to get down to it with 15 seconds to go. The moment he's in a lockout position, Rob Brown to leeward, Sebi Jarvin to leeward of him. That's the right end of the line. Down the left end of the line, it's
Chris Nicholson was speeding ahead and he's gone too fast.
Yeah, he's gone too far. Our Marine Pittwater down there. That's Adam Beechel down the left end of the line. At this end of the line, well, it's winning group. Sevi Jarvin, cracking start. Rob Brown, not bad at all, but much more speed on winning group. And then there is Smeg. I saw David Witt give Rob Brown a little love tap just then up his backside. So David Witt to this end of the line is tacking on camera now, tacking away. Probably going to hopefully just avoid the camera cap. Yeah. He's done a good job of keeping out of our way, and we've done a good job of keeping out of his way. And that's David Witt, hard right, not on camera right now, but you'll pick him up in a second. We're looking at the middle, the rest of the fleet right in front of you.
And
so on camera, the most right-hand boat in great shape, that's winning route, the blue-hulled boat, that's Sebi Jarvin, and Tom Slingsby, and Sam Newton. And Ilvi is just behind him, that's Brownie. And to the left of him is Smeg, the winner of our race number 2. That's the leading group in the right, and John Winning, guess what, there he is again, Nick Douglas. John Winning just won't go away, will he? He's up with the leading group as well. John Winning, Smeg in the middle, winning group on the right hand side, and out hard right, David Witt.
I think David Witt has decided he's just going to put all the eggs in the basket after that little tap with Brownie. He's like, right, let's go right then, shall we? But again, remember that Yandu, Finport Finance, who are heading back out to the right-hand side, and potentially Smeg are our current regatta leaders. And this is a 3-race series, Mark Healy.
Yeah, we're just seeing Kitchen Maker now. She's on port tack, just coming over to join the group on the right-hand side. That's Steve Quigley. He's had a couple of nice races, great recovery in race 2 from that bottom mark incident, and he had a good first race. And off to the hard right-hand side, it's Finport. Rob Greenhalgh actually is now the best of the hard right boats, but we've got a big spread. We've got boats almost on the starboard ley line and the port ley line already, and on the hard left it's John Winning and Yandu and Our Marine Pittwater. In the middle it's Winning Group is the best of the boats and Smeg, and on the hard right it's Finport and it's Kitchen Maker.
This will be interesting here how this plays out now. We've got Vintech on screen. They're one of the boats coming back from the left-hand side, which seems to have paid in the top end of this beat at the moment for the first time today.
Yeah, you can see the angle with Rob Greenhalgh, who's the best to the right. He's a bunch of boats he's not crossing. No, he can't use his starboard deck advantage at all. You can see all the boats popping across his bow. Smeg, Winning Group, and Yandu's in that group as well. Ilve's in very good shape as well. It looks like the winner, the leader rather, of this race number 3 is going to come from that group. So on the water right now, the indomitable, I haven't used that word for a long time, Trevor Barnabas in Smeg is currently leading this race. Could this be 2 race wins in a row as a seaplane goes close over our heads, just a few feet above? You might hear it just there. Oof, that was nice and close.
No need for a haircut this week.
There's Smeg on camera, and that's Sebi just to windward. I think Smeg has got enough room to tack and clear once she's on starboard tack just. And we're only a minute and a half, 2 minutes from the top mark.
Oh my goodness,
Smeg
we've got this cruiser that's just come right under the course, Mark Healy. What do you reckon about this?
No one's going to thank them. I think this is someone who has no idea about yacht racing. They've just done a U-turn in front of the whole fleet. They could have just spat up here and waited 2 minutes and avoided the disaster. Anyway,
Triple M's in the tide down here, Mark.
Triple M's gone for a swim. The motorboats decided to put our throttles down just to make a bigger hole in the water. Anyway, this is what you have to live with if you race in Sydney Harbour. It's part of winning the races, and as all the JJ Giltman champions say, if you can't manage the traffic and get your head around it, well, you're not going to become a JJ champion.
Oh, absolutely. Look at these guys surfing the bow wake from this cruiser as they come into the top mark.
It's super close
Zorm,
to
it's
the top.
gonna, I think it might help winning group lay here, this little bit of wave. It should pay them back because they were on lay and then they got absolutely smoked and now they're going to get back with that little wave, I think.
Yeah, Sevi did some nice surf action. So first round was Trevor Barnabas on Smeg. Second round is winning group. Third round is Royal Oak. That's Lee Napton. It's about time we saw him at the front of the fleet. There he is. Next, Rob Greenhadge. Great recovery from where he was. He wasn't looking in good shape at all. Halfway up that beat. He's got himself around in 4th position. And then here is Ilvi, Rob Brown doing nicely. And we've got Chris Nicholson on the Planters online. Is next around. The fleet's close here, but I was talking up John Winning before. The last part of this beat, Nick, what happened there, do you think?
I think he got stuck in between the two breezes. So he had a bit of breeze on the left and a bit of breeze on the right, and he was just too far in the middle. Sometimes we say you've got to back yourself and you've got to go to a side and not cross the course. He spent too long crossing the course on a header there, and unfortunately it's not done him any favours.
But it is a 4-lap race. He's got time.
It is a 4-lap race. Oh my gosh, the race committee have done a fantastic job today, and this is beautiful. We've got beautiful conditions, so why not give us 4 laps? But these sailors are going to be very hungry and very tired.
And the drone's just marching down the race course in a way that only drones can do, a lot faster than we are. And you can see all the starboard jibers, and that's John Winning on the right-hand side of your picture. And you've got the kitchen maker just to the leeward of him and just ahead of him. Planters online, and Ilve, that's that little group. Up at the front, the leaders have now jibed, and it is still Smeg in first place. It's Sevi Jarving's winning group in 2nd position. 3rd is Royal Oak, that's Lee Napton, and 4th, just jibing right in front of us right now, is Rob Greenhedge on Finport. So we're just looking at Ilve, that's Rob Brown on camera. And now we're just going back to the leader who's about to round the bottom mark for the first time. End of lap 1 coming up. And at this point, it is a familiar name, a familiar boat name as well. It's Trevor Barnabas, it's Smeg. They are the leader at the end of lap 1 in close proximity. Sevi Jarvin's all-star crew on winning group are pretty close, and I did say I thought winning group were going to come good in this race, Nick. And I hate to say that I'm right because I almost never am, but when I am, I have to say it because it doesn't happen very often. I think Sevi is the guy who's going to win this race.
I think he may come good, definitely. And I don't think you're wrong that often, Mark Healy. I think you're underselling yourself to the extreme right there. As Royal Oak comes around on a right-hand turn and straight onto the starboard shift. That's Lee Napton. He's done a great rounding there. You can see on the drone footage here. Great shots again from Aero Media. LV with Rob Brown coming in. Finport Finance, Rob Greenhouse still in a good spot here. So it's probably, by my mind, Smeg and Finport Finance who are leading the regatta at the moment.
Nice maths in your head.
I think.
Next, so that was Rob Brown in 4th in this race. Here goes Rob Greenhage, sorry, in 4th. Here's Rob Brown, who's going to go around in 5th. Very close proximity is Chris Nicholson on our Planters online. Then Kitchenmaker and Yandu. Yandu's back into this a little bit, but Yandu probably going to have to make a move in the next lap or two. She wants to get back into her overall lead. Down at the bottom mark, great pictures just showing exactly what's happening down here. We're about in the middle of fleet now. You're seeing Yandu going around the left-hand mark as you look upwind, just behind Kitchenmaker. Vintech, not such a great race today. Dan Phillips has had 2 fantastic races, but he's got a bit of work to do as well. He's going to get himself back into the overalls. And then it's Del Zotto.
Do you know what, Mark? I think that right-hand turn gate is actually favoured. They did move it before the last start, and I actually think that gate's favoured. We'll see how it all plays out, but when we just came past it then I got a chance to look across with that 90 degrees. It looked quite handy. That might be why we saw more people go around.
So just on camera now is winning group. Just off camera, I just saw David Witt in Triple M. Looks like he's had some gear damage with that capsize. He's going home. I don't think we'll be seeing David Witt again. And so if you're wondering where he's got to, that's the answer. He's on his way home with some kind of gear damage. Anyway, we're looking at Finport now. She is middle right, currently in 3rd. Hard right, Trevor Barnabas and Smeg. Just to the right of the picture we're looking at right now. And in between the two of them is the winning group. There's Rob just putting a tack back to the right. He doesn't like the look of what he was seeing with those left-hand boats. I think they have done well over there, Nick. And he's decided to come back this way. But still at the moment, we're about halfway, a little bit more than halfway up this beat for lap 2. Our leader is still Trevor Barnabas on Smeg. Second is winning group.
I actually think Royal Oak might challenge Winning Group here, Mark, with that rounding around that favoured right mark, that right-hand turn.
It's gone well, isn't it? And we actually have got a ferry coming into play soon, off camera, but to the right of the boat you're looking at is a decent-sized ferry, but I've got a feeling these ferry guys know exactly what they're doing, unlike the previous motorboat we saw, so I think you'll find this ferry carves a cunning path through our skiffs. Well, I hope he does, because he's 30 metres long and he's big and heavy and fast. So we're on the camera with Smeg. To the right-hand side, you're about to see the green ferry appear, just to keep everybody sharp. He is crossing ahead of Lee Napton, but Lee Napton, as you said, Nick, has crossed Winning Group. So Lee's little move to the left, that's got him into second place.
Yeah, that right-hand turn out to the left-hand side, that gate was favoured. We've got a little bit of a left favourite at the moment. Trevor Barnabas tacks right on Lee Napton's face on Smeg. He's still got a bit of bite in him, that old boy. Good work.
Yeah, it's a tough little top marker. You can see the ferry I've been talking about now on screen. Look at the size of that thing, and we are right by the top mark. So the ferry decided to, well, he's done a pretty good job actually. He's done his best to keep out the way. He has got a schedule to keep to, after all, at this top mark. So it's Smeg, it's Royal Oak, but Winning Group, Sevi Jarvin, still threatening this leading group. Winning Group is just sailing through the header caused by that ferry, so don't worry too much about that strange heading he was on. I think he's going to be third, but first round is still going to be Smeg. Great job by Lee Napton. Chose a different mark rounding, went up a different side of the beat, and it's paid off for him. And you won't believe what's happened here at home. Our boat driver, Jimmy, has put his sunglasses on. That tells you the rain is gone.
The sun's out.
The sun is out, Jimmy.
Sun's out.
Jimmy, tell us about the race. What do you like to look of so far?
Mate, I'm really liking the closeness to the racing. Like, you know, the boys are all playing really nicely with each other here. Like, no one's banging boats together. Like, obviously the boats need to all race Sunday as well, and they're borrowed boats, but the closeness to the racing, and you know, like, just showing that a lot of the old foxes have still got it. Yeah, that's right. Look, just a recap for you. Smeg in first, Royal Oak in second, Winning Group in third, Finport are going to go round fourth. And as Jimmy said, skiff racing happens every single Sunday in the season. That's from October through to March. And coming up in February is the JJ Geltman. That's the World Championships of 80-foot skiff sailing, where we'll see some Americans, some English, some Kiwis turning up. That is 9 days of very high quality skiff racing. If you're interested in the skiff racing you've seen today, go to the club website, have a look at when the racing can be followed. And the last race of 2018 is this Sunday. We'll be transmitting from 2:40 local time in Sydney. We hope you can join us. By the way, the forecast that, Jimmy, 20 knots and sunshine. Looking forward to that. Going to be a very different outlook from today, Mark. So I'm looking forward to it. That's very different from today. So look, we're at top mark. That was top mark for the second time. As we go downwind on camera, you see Smeg thinking about her jibe. She's not far off a ley line. Looking at some of the crew coming off the racks now. First in Smeg, rolls into a jibe. Beautifully done, no big surprise. Sevi Jarvin keeping the pressure on, keeping him honest. Behind him, Lee Napton. The winner's going to come from these three, I think, Nick. But alongside us, just off camera, is Rob Greenhouse. He's looking good for an overall as well. One of these four is going to win this race, do you reckon?
Yes, I think one of these four will win this race unless something majorly wrong occurs, which could, given that we know everybody's getting tired. But we'll see how it all plays out. Great jibes by everybody on board there, and Lee Napton making sure that he jibed before Winning Group to cover that inside position for now. The left-hand turn, which looks a bit favoured as this raining cloud starts to come from the right-hand side of the course when we look back upwind. So
down the bottom mark, there is Smeg going around the mark as our leader, so she's down there for the second time. Winning Group, you maybe just better see them off the corner of the picture. Are having a bit of a problem getting their spinnaker down. They're just the wrong side of the lake because they got a gust at a very unhelpful moment, and that's made their rounding a little ugly, but they got away with it. They did so good. I'd call that rescue boat handling at the end there.
Scramble sailing at its best.
I like what the Royal Oak's done here, Mark. The breeze has gone a long way left on this work. Yeah. So, you know, the guys have almost laid the bottom mark.
She's doing a copy repeat, isn't she? She did the same the bottom mark last time. It paid for her beautifully. Yep. Tougher boat handling manoeuvre, but well worth it. Lee Napton goes round in third. That was Sevi Jarvin did get round second. He went around the different downwind mark. Lee Napton went round third, closely followed by Rob Greenhage. So our leaders going upwind. We've got Smeg and Winning Group going up the right-hand side of this beat. We've got Royal Oak, Lee Napton and Finport going up the left-hand side of the beat. And behind them it's Kitchen Maker and Appliances Online, but we think that top four is where the winner's going to come from. They've got different ideas on how to win this race, and both of them are going, Nick, if you spotted this, all the way to their respective sides. No one's playing the middle today.
No, the middle is death, as we say. in the golden rule book, but I do think this cloud that's coming from the right is going to really change things out on the track, Mark.
So there is Rag and Famish.
Real
That's
increase
Joe
in
Turner.
pressure as well in front of this rain.
That's Joe Turner going around the bottom mark for the second time, followed closely by Ilvi, Rob Brown. We're just looking at Chris Nicholson now, just behind us. And he's heading off to this right-hand side as well. And there's rain coming, as Nick said. There's more wind. It's got a little bit cooler. I think Jimmy Berry's sunglasses are coming off soon. Oh, they've come off already. There you go. That's how we know. And up on the right-hand side of this race course, you might see in a second, is another large leisure motorboat, making life quite exciting for our skiffs. I think that big noise was the motorboat Ghost getting in the way of Smeg. You can see on camera now, Ghost decided to blow her horn as opposed to just stop, which would have been a lot more sensible thing to do.
Free horn.
So Mr. Ghost 2, if you watch this on recording, here's a tip. Don't just blow your horn, stop your boat and let the skiffs get on with their racing. And eventually he did the right thing. So Smeg didn't get run over, Nick. I'm happy about that.
Me too.
But he's leading. He's kept his lead out of the right-hand side. Winning group crossed just ahead of Finport. You can see that on camera now. And Kitchen Maker is out of the left-hand side as well. But the question mark is, how is Lee Napkin going to do? He went hard left. Smeg went hard right. How's this going to play out?
Smeg is going to lead around this next mark. The pressure is all in the top right here with that raining cloud. I actually saw Lee Napton went through a period about 10 seconds with not much pressure at all. I think that really will have hurt him, but we'll see how it all plays out here.
Feels like maybe Smeg just had a bit more breeze on this side.
Yeah,
Smeg goes into attack just there. She's not quite on, pretty close to Port Leyline. Lee Napton inside, but he's got a bit of work to do here. I think Smeg is going to keep this lead. Lee in second, winning group third probably. But remember, Nick, this is a 4-lap race. We've still got another lap and a half to go.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you're keeping count. I've lost track.
Trevor Barnabas tacks on starboard ley line for the top mark for the third time. And if we've got our maths right, there is another lap and a half to go. I think we've got that right. Bit of a cheer from a local spectator boat here. First
One
round.
of our regular skippers on that boat is James Doran from Asco's over on that boat.
Ah, okay.
That's why the cheering's going.
Asco giving Trevor Barnabas a bit of local encouragement. Second round, Lee Napton racing much more competitively in race number 3. Maybe he made a few changes to the setup. JJ champion from only 2016, not long ago. He's right up at the pointy end now in second place. Nice job, Lee. Third, Sevi Jarvin. My tip to win this race. You're letting me down a little bit at the moment, Sevi. Come on. Get yourself up there. I'm looking for a win. But he's sailing well, actually. These boys are definitely getting their act together. They're learning fast. I think it was going to be a 4th race. I'm pretty sure they'd be in it.
Absolutely. I think they've learned more than the other teams. They can get most improved, which they'd hate. But we can give Tom Slingsby, Sam Newton and Sevi Jarman most improved, right?
A little medal, maybe. A little, and a cup of tea or something. So next round, Rob Greenhatch, he's been there or thereabouts every single race, keeping the pressure on the leaders. He'll be looking good in the overalls whenever we get to do that bit of maths. Steve Quigley, nice recovery from him as well. He goes around in 5th place. And behind Steve, it's going to be a Plances Online. Rag and Fanish, that's Joe Turner, and Vintech, Dan Phillips, as we drone our way down the race course at 25 knots. We're going to see what happens at the bottom. One more bottom mark rounding, one more beat.
Ooh. Rob Greenhouse, you can't quite see it, it's just off screen. He's jibed right on winning groups half quarter to try and stay with them down this run, but Smeg is just absolutely motoring down towards the gates. They've opened up their lead to about half of one of these legs, maybe a third of one of these legs, if I'm being unoptimistic. It's getting dark again.
It's a little cooler, isn't it? There's definitely been a little change in the air. The breeze has stayed nice and firm, but it's a little cooler. The bottom mark for the 3rd time anyway. Smeg has done the same maths that we have, thinking there's still another lap to go, so I think we're all on the same page there. No mistakes from her. She goes around the bottom mark, leading again, choosing the same downwind mark that she's chosen really all day, actually, for all 3 races. She's our clear leader. A small extension on Lee Napton in the Royal Oak Hotel boat.
early drop from them. Well, they tried to go for the early drop. They're liking the right-hand turn again, Mark.
Same again. It's worked for them pretty well. Oh, my word. There's the first
Big
capsize.
Oh, Lee!
Right in front of the spectator boat too.
Jimmy, was that just a spinnaker trawl, was it? I think caused the problem there. What did you see?
Bit of a spinnaker trawl, and we just had the ferry going up into Double Bay, just went past, and I think just the waves unsettled the boat there. A bit of a spinnaker drag, and that's the result.
And a bit of extra breeze down here as well. Look at Winning Group. They're trawling the spinnaker as well. 2 trawls. Rob Greenhalgh might actually overtake 2 boats here. I think he will. So Winning Group have got the spinnaker out of the water. They'll probably bring a few crabs, a few fish, and half a pound of prawn with them. But they have got that boat under control. Tom Slingers was thinking, hang on, there's no spinnaker on Malaysia, and there's no spinnaker on a GP50.
No.
What the hell is going on? What am I doing on this boat?
Tom's trying to pull that spinnaker into leeward.
Yeah, there's no trapeze
That's
on
the
a
other funny thing.
50 or on an AC
Well,
boat.
I can tell you, Winning Group is still heading downwind. They still haven't got the spinnaker under control. So Winning Group is heading downwind, having gone past the mark. I think she's got some, well, they've got a lot of work to do. So first round the mark, Smeg. Second in the end was Rob Greenhalgh in Finport because Lee Napton's boat capsized with the first trawl. Winning Group did the second trawl, didn't capsize, but they are still heading downwind. It's not where you want to go. And so next boat round, third boat round, was in fact Kitchen Maker.
Mark, I think Winning Group have a lot to do if they're going to come good on winning this race for you, buddy. They owe you a beer.
You did not have to remind me. That was,
Sorry
that
about
was
that.
heartless. That was cruel.
I'm quite happy with my tip.
What was your tip?
doing all right.
Trevor Barnabas.
Trevor Barnabas. Well, like Winning Group they are still heading downwind. I think that maybe they're going to go home after that, but they still don't have the spinning under control. So, Sevi, I think this is not going to be a race win today for you. Dan Phillips has done pretty well out of that carnage. Vintech goes round in what I think is 5th place. Appliances Online go round in 6th. Rag and Famish are up to 7th. Ilvi are in 8th. But at the front of the race, our clear leader, again, by even more than before, well, it's Trevor Barnabas on Smeg. Second place is Finport, but Finport's got a bit on our hands because Kitchen Maker, Steve Quigley, is looking in very good form on the right-hand side of this beat. And then it's Vintech. That's our first 4. And look at what's happened here. A little bit more breeze, Nick, and all of a sudden, the whole fleet has spread out. We've got swimmers, we've got trawling. It's a bit more like a normal skiff race.
You know what? I don't blame them at all. If I was on to my 4th lap of my 3rd race, I think I'd be ready for a beer also, and I don't even drink beer. So, you know, all credit to Trevor Barnabas and his team for really, really nailing home on this work. But the Kitchen Maker have come out of this right-hand side with great pace, Mark.
Yeah, I think fatigue is a big issue. There is more breeze. I mean, there's not a lot of wind. Anyway, it's very hard to pick up the amount of wind if you're watching this as a transmission. But here on the water where we are, we're in the kind of 9 to 10 knots of breeze every now and then, a gust of 12. But we have got a little bit of ferry wake here and then, as Jimmy pointed to, that caused one of the capsizes. And they're tired. 4 laps. They've already done 2 races. These spinnakers have gone up and down. They don't go up by themselves, do they?
No, they don't. But I think this is the last hoist. Do I have this correct, Mark?
Yeah, last hoist.
Oh, no!
And Smeg tacks for the last time onto the Leyland at the top mark. So she's going to be our leader. And she's got a really healthy lead. It's gone a bit light at the top here after all that talk of 10 knots of breeze. There's not 10 knots now.
More pressure coming off screen though, mate.
Well, there is, you're right, Jimmy. And there's a proper little puff coming our way. But Smeg's going to have to do one of those fairways down speed. She just hopes the puff doesn't hit her at exactly the wrong moment. But Trevor's got about 30 years plus experience of doing this. I've got a feeling he's going to be just fine. There he goes, making it look simple, making it look straightforward, and it is definitely neither of those two things.
I think that Ricky Bridge is definitely one of the guys you'd want to have hoisting your spinnaker at the end of a long day too. So, I mean, the races that we usually have, Mark, as you said before, are a lot longer. But when you have to do more laps, more hoists, more drops, do you think it's more tiring on the bow team or less? Or, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, having the right crew, obviously, any kind of boat is super important, but I think today, having those skills, I think if you've got enough skills, you have to use less physical effort, and that's what I think might happen today. We're just keeping our eyes, we're just following right now Trevor Barnabas. We'll get a camera on him in a second. Trevor, as we said, was clearly first round, the first mark. There he is on camera now. Second round behind us. I'll keep you up to date with what's going on. Finport, in the end, has crept around marginally just ahead of Kitchen Maker. No more than a boat length between those two boats. So first is Smeg, second is Finport, third is Kitchen Maker, And after that, it's looking like a Plants is online, Vintech, Rag and Famish, Ilve, and John Winning on Yandu. That looks like your top 10 for now. We're going to follow Smeg as we go down to the finish of race 3, last race of the day, last race of the Super Cup here on Sydney Harbour with the 80-foot skiff fleet. What an amazing job by Trevor Barnabas and his crew. Look, Smeg's been one of the form boats, Jimmy, this season. No doubt the setup is good. No doubt the crew are absolutely at the top of their game. But for Trevor to step in, it's as if he's never been away from the fleet.
Oh, exactly, mate. And the other thing too is like Ricky and Mikey, they started with Lee when they won the JJ. So, you know,
So it's a JJ champion crew, basically.
Exactly. You know, it's it's a brilliant boat. They're well looked after. The guys really do know what they're doing. The sheet hand and the forward hand on this boat, and they make it look easy, and they make Trevor's job easy.
But looking at Trevor there, Nick, that looks like a guy that was just born to do this.
Absolutely, he's just making it look easy. And as you said earlier, doing it without his sleeves. Oh, we've got the bow team, Mike McKenzie, putting his hand on his head and everything. I mean, looking like rock stars. They're loving it. They're loving every minute of it. And you can see us there on the cam chasing them as well. We're doing a fair bit of pace to keep up with them, with the drone flying backwards. Awesome aerobatics there. It's looking really good. Really happy for these guys. They've sailed beautifully.
So race 3 comes to an end. Our winner,
Nice work.
Smeg. Awesome job by the Smeg team. That'll be the end of racing. I don't think we're going to get 4 races today. 3's probably enough. But we're going to now see who else is going to finish this race on the podium. First Smeg, second coming towards us. Looks like it's Finport. And that's Rob Greenhouse's boat, but in very close proximity with Kitchen Maker. Kitchen Maker up to windward, but I think Rob is just bow forward enough to be able to get the silver position on the podium of race 3. There is Rob Greenhouse down on the leeward end of the line. You're just seeing him cross the line now. That's the right hand of those 2 boats. The black sailed boat is going upwind. There's Rob Greenhouse about to cross the line in second place. Get ready for the hooter.
Here he goes. Right about now.
There we go. Nice job by Rob. And next, Kitchen Maker. Nick, great recovery from Steve Quigley. We didn't really see him until that bottom up the last time.
Absolutely, and he just did what you said earlier, Mark. He stuck to the basics. He came in with a cool head, did a great rounding with his team, and he's managed to slip into 3rd position, which was very well done. I can't remember what the results for the first race were.
They were up there.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were up there as well, and also it will depend what the gap was between Smeg and Finport Finance as well as to who takes this over. I think it's Smeg with 2 bullets.
It's got to be
I think
Smeg
it
with
has
2
to be
bullets
Smeg
and a
with 2
second
bullets.
or a third.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just don't want to then accidentally go in and go, oh no, because with 2 2s, Rob Greenhouse was on the ball, but
with Steve Quigley in 3rd.
Yeah,
and
great
next
consistency.
across the line, a nice little battle between a Plants is online and Vintech. And well, wouldn't you know, Plants is online. That's Chris Nicholson and his 49er crew. Dan Phillips right up his backside, trying to get a win at the end. But I think Chris has got just enough positioning to defend. That's the 4th and 5th place finishes for race 3. Nice job of Plants is online. A rock solid 4th. Dan Phillips, he's had a great day, hasn't he? He's been right back into this racing. He's been consistent all the way through. I think on the overalls, Vintech will be there or thereabouts.
absolutely a cracker. And on the bow for Appliances Online too, a shout out to Harry Price, who filled in at the last minute to jump on the bow for Chris Nicholson. And he actually had a helming spot for his sister who couldn't sail today, and he gave his helming spot to Brownie because, anyway, it's been an amazing event where everybody's filled in for everybody to really make it happen. So just a little shout out to Harry Price for doing what he did today.
And there's Joe Turner, often called Young Joe Turner. Why is he called Young Joe Turner? James, there's nothing young about Joe, is there?
Nothing young about him, especially his lungs after sailing with him for 3 years.
Anyway, he did do 1 season in the skiffs a long time ago, but he's done a bunch of 16-foot skiff sailing. He's a fabulous moth sailor, second in the Moth Worlds in 2011, and making it look awfully easy to jump into an 80-foot skiff. He's got some skills, hasn't he?
A brilliant guy to sail with. He just finished, I think, a 52 on the weekend with on the Hooligan. Can turn his hand to anything. He's a really capable sailor.
And then Rob Brown was next across the line. I think Rob will be super happy with his performance, first of all, Nick, and also I just think he's had a lot of fun.
I think he's had a lot of fun, and you know what, I'm really proud of him for actually coming out and having a go. He was a bit nervous, but he's got fired up when he got back to the club. You could see it bubbling up inside of him. He was ready to have a whack, and Yandu was next across the line behind him. They've raced against each other for many years. Great to see them have a beautiful day at the office with a win in the first race, Mark.
Yeah, so John had 2 good races, didn't he? Did he get like a 1 and a 2 or 1 and a 3 or something?
Yeah.
And this race not quite so good. That might just be a fatigue issue. Who knows what? But 2 great races. I think John's had a pretty good day as well. And
I think he just got pickled on that first beat. Mark, he ended up in the middle, and it's hard to recover when there's a few boats in front of you sometimes. You just can't find the gap, especially when you end up finding that one side's a little bit more favoured than the other. So it can make it tough.
Next down the line is one of the regular 18-foot crews. That's Del Zotto with Jack Sprague, Tim Narborough and Josh Feldman. They'll be out racing on Sunday in the last of the 2018 skiff races of this year. We take a break and then we come back in the middle of January in the build-up to the JJ, which starts at the very beginning of March. There's Del Zotto across the line. Good day's practice for them. They've actually had a couple of good results this year, Jimmy, haven't they? And I reckon a day like today, fantastic, a great experience for them, but also fantastic training for skiff sailing.
Amazing experience to get out training, especially training against these calibre of guys too. Yeah, like I'm sure Jack, I know Jack pretty well, and I do remember him as a young kid, and I remember watching him one day walk up to Rob Brown with a Australian Sailing magazine, nervously asking for a signature, and big day when you get to sail against people that you idolised growing up, and the amount that you learn out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great day for them. Next, across the line, we're looking at Quality Marine Clothing. Over on the left of the line, yeah, we've just got them on camera now, next to the ferry, having a bit of a race with the ferry, and it looks like a race they're going to lose. But they both crossed the line. The ferry doesn't get a gun, but that was Quality Marine Clothing does get a gun. And the next boat to finish is going to be Lee Napton, one of the first capsize we saw. It probably wasn't the first capsize, but we got it on camera. We were nicely positioned, and Lee up to that point, Nick, I think he was looking like winning the race. Was he first or second or second?
He was in second when he capsized. And speaking of capsizes, I'm looking just down to leeward, and Ilvy with Rob Brown on the helm. We were just mentioning he's in the middle of the boat explaining to his crew how to do an old school rescue. He's just sitting in the middle of the boat telling them what to do.
That'll be sheer fatigue. The race has ended. I've had enough. That's it. I'm out of here.
So good. But here he comes. He's managed to recover it, and all credit to him. He's gotten the boat up and he's going to finish the race, which I think is a great sign of a true champion too.
Yeah.
If you don't have damage to finish the race, is high quality.
So Lee Napton and his guys, a great race they had up until that bottom mark for the third time, which you remember they did a little bit of a trawl, hit a little bit of a wave, and that's 2 problems which you put one after the other, that's enough to go for a swim in a skiff, even in these conditions, even if you are a JJ Helm champion like Lee Napton. So Lee crosses the line, and up in the far, far, far distance, I think that's Armory and Pittwater.
Correct.
And that's Adam Beechel. I think he also had a swim. He too, Nick, has toughed it out to finish.
Legend.
I think Winning Group actually just called it a day after their big prawning at that bottom mark, so they've gone home. One more boat to cross the line, which is Adam Beechel. And as he approaches the line here, it's a good time for us probably just to sum up. We've had a good day on the water, haven't we? Nick, first of all to you, just give us your biggest impression, single thing you'll mostly take out of today, just the one big thing for you.
I'm a bit dumbfounded actually. I'm not usually lost for words, and I'm really enjoying seeing these guys out here loving the sport that they're so passionate about and having a great time with their mates. So much banter and just a great afternoon on the water. That's all.
The love of the sport. We'll summarise it. The love of the sport.
I'm going with
we
that.
felt the love today, didn't we? Jimmy, what about you? What's your outtake for today?
Mate, I just think it's brilliant that we get to see all these legends out racing. Really hope the club does embrace this idea and does it again at least once more this season. I think it'd be fantastic to see. I don't know, but maybe tonight's the night to hit the guys up while they're nicely oiled up and get them to sign up before they wake up tomorrow and feel sore. But I'd love to see it.
And I'd say the quality of the racing probably is the thing that is the outtake of this as well, isn't it, Jimmy? Not just it's good to have them here, but the quality of the guys. They haven't turned up to give it a go, falling over. They've sailed beautifully. Great tacking, great jibing, great tactics.
Yeah.
And we've had a great day on the water. Thanks for joining us wherever you have watched us from. There is a recorded version of this for anyone who couldn't get on live, and you can watch it at your leisure. Look back and see some of those legends. So a few thanks on the boat, Aero Media, for those great drone pictures. Chits, who sits just behind me, who presses all the buttons in exactly the right order, keeps the whole show on the road. To our cameraman, to our helpers at the back of the boat, making sure that the drone comes down safely, and particularly to Nick Douglas, our guest commentator today. Nick, thanks for joining us. Great to have you. Look forward to following your further adventures this season. And Jimmy Berry, keeping us in one piece. Great boat driver. Thanks, mate. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Thanks,
from
Mark.
the Camera Cat, from Sydney Harbour, it's goodbye from me, Mark Healy. If you can, join us on Sunday for 2:40 local time for the last skiff race of the season. As I said before, it's looking like 20 knots and sunny. See if you can make it. Thank you and good night.